Yes. Okay. All right. Welcome. And again, this meeting is literally about setting yourself up for the the most important and most impactful 17 days of your professional career. And for those of you that decide to sign up, so to speak, sign up for it, and I'll show you how to sign up for the Alliance later today. There will be a couple of you that will sign up for the Alliance, and maybe you have a 14-day Alliance because there's 3 days that you have that you're specifically not going to be able to work, or whatever the case may be. It's going to mean a lot of communication with your manager. In between now and the 5th of July, like next Wednesday's meeting, right, 8 days from today, we want to make sure that you get another PC with your manager of what your plan is going to be for those 17 days of the push. Okay. And so thank you. Appreciate that. And left-handed. Okay, good. Awesome. See, I've got talent. Okay. Watch me play basketball left-handed. Okay. Summer 23. What I will tell you is summer 2023 is all for me. This is for me in 1994, right? So hopefully it's for you in 2023. It was about money. I really wanted to make more money than I'd ever made in my entire life. Like, I worked at Walgreens for $5.25 an hour, and that was mediocre, moderate wages back then, right? Some of you have worked at In-N-Out Burgers. Some of you guys worked at different places. Hopefully the opportunity that you have in front of you, you already recognize as a really, really much more exciting income opportunity. And some of you have experienced comma paychecks. Some of you have experienced, $400 and $500 paychecks. You've been in the job for 2 weeks and you've already experienced that. And that's exciting. How about experience? Personal growth. I didn't grow much at Walgreens. The way I grew at Walgreens was having fun in the back room when the manager wasn't in there. I was smashing 2-liter bottles in the box crusher, and soda was spraying all over the place. And they're like, "Why is it so sticky back here?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." Okay. So those were the experiences I had previous to the Cutco job, right? And advancement opportunity is abounding in the division that literally is 80% ahead of last year. And we were in the top divisions in the region last year, right? To be that far ahead of our biggest year ever in Southern Rockies, to be that far ahead of our biggest year ever in Salt Lake City, and most of the branch offices that have run offices before having their biggest year ever, surprise, first year branches having their biggest year ever. Okay. That's a joke. Okay. And I hope you're about having a lot of fun. Okay. We were talking about we were talking about karaoke this morning, Isaac and Jacob and I. So it's like, just wait, dude. Okay. So congratulations on being accepted and being invited to be here today. And so my outcomes today is to give you the whys and the hows. There's a book called Who Not How. And then there's a book called The Gap in the Gain. Really tremendous authors. And in many cases, both of those books talk about whys being more important, even though there's all these other whys and hows and whos, right? But the whys really wind up being the things that drive. Here's what I'll tell you. For the rest of your life, this is when you're parenting eventually. This is when you're on your church mission. This is when you're starting a new company and a new business, right? This is when you're in the middle of the SC2 push. Let me tell you, the whys, winning a scholarship, right? The whys will always get you through the rough moments. Like, why am I dealing with this 5-year-old, 6-year-old that won't stop moving and won't stop talking and won't stop not listening, right? That you can get through parenting rough moments when you have big whys. You can get through school. How many of you guys have ever had a really rough day at school, really rough test, really rough, you got a lot of homework, got a lot of tests, got a lot of quizzes, and a lot of pressure. And you get through those by the way, sometimes you don't, who's ever maybe not made it through some of that successfully, right? Because you forget your whys. But when we establish your whys for this push, because everyone will have different whys. So whys are really the most important thing when it comes to anything that's big that you're trying to achieve. Why do you go through 3 years of law school, grad school, medical school, or anything? It sucks every day. Sucks if you're going that hard in a medical school, right? But you get through it when you think of why you're doing it. Same thing on a mission. It's the same thing when you're in the military or something like that, right? On a football team, baseball, softball, right? And also we're going to give you the hows. But I will say that as much as we're going to teach you the hows today, I really hope you absorb the importance of getting the whys down. And some of those whys will be money because it's a job. Right. It's going to be, it's going to be personal growth. That's why you're doing it. And that makes it hard because then you're like, oh, wait, this is hard. Oh, I wanted this. Sometimes when you have a kid, you're like, oh, I wanted this. Okay. Right. Same thing with marriage. Same thing with owning a company. Right. I forgot I wanted this. Right. This is what I signed up for. And so we're going to give you the mindset of having a big push. We're going to give you the schedule, the closing skills, and how to have a big names list. Okay. So today we got a lot. Our general agenda, I'm going to try, they always say plan tight, hang loose. Plan tight, hang loose. So here's our general agenda today. My opening comments, we got an hour and a half left of that, and we got a lot of things to discuss. So I really want to keep cranking here. Welcome comments, talking about whys, and talking about fuel to your business. One of the most important things you're going to do for your push is straight up, you just need to have people to call. How many of you guys need more people to call? Like in your mind, you're like, I need people to call, right? And we want to boost that names list to a huge number. Before you even start the push, the minimum assignment is like for our alliance, Salt Lake City, you're going to have 200 people minimum to call. That at any given moment, we're phoning, you have 200 people to call. That's 5 hours of phoning easily. Some of you, it's 10 hours of phoning because we always say 20 to 30 calls an hour. Well, what's 200 names? That's 5, 8, 10 hours of calling, right? And so if you have that, you're never going to be wondering if you can book demos, period. End of story. You will never wonder if you can get demos if you have 200 people to call. How many of you guys would make the phone calls if you had those people to call, right? And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get some push mindset from Q7. That's Quentin. Quentin, he's on a 7 scholarship on the way to his 8th scholarship, so I named him Q7. Okay, his Quentin Interstolson doesn't fit in the margins. Okay, so push mindset. The guy sold $24,000 in his last push. How many of you guys would like to learn from someone who sold $24,000 in his last push? Made, what is half of that? 12 grand. He made 12 grand in 17 days. By the way, it was his roughest push. It was not. He had actually sold, I think, more in the push period 1 year before. Notice the 2 push periods where he sold the most were the 2 SC2 push periods, 2022 and 2021. And he sold like 25 grand the push period before when he was still not as good. He got better at the job, still had his roughest, hardest statistical, roughest push, still made $12,000 in 17 days. So I hope you're excited to hear from him. We'll have a quick break. We got to keep a quick break. I got to give you at least a minute to go to the bathroom, and then he'll take over again with selling ultimates in all respects. I almost want to erase signature sets. And I say that because if you do a really, really good job of selling ultimate sets, signatures are coming out of, that's easy, right? And homemakers are like slam dunks when you got ultimate selling down, right? So I hope you understand that whenever we teach ultimate selling, if you sell one more ultimate, think about it. If you're trying to go sell 17 grand, 15 grand, let's think about 15 grand. What is a $2,500 order, an ultimate set CPO? What does an ultimate set do to a 15 grand goal? It's over 10% of your goal, right? If you sell one ultimate set in the entire month of July, who'd be fired up selling one ultimate set in the month of July? But what if you sell 2 extra signatures and 4 extra homemakers? Now you're halfway to your goal almost, right? Some people, it's a mental game of getting to an 80 or more % closing ratio without stressing out about selling the ultimate set, because you sell a whole bunch of $500 orders, $300 orders, whole bunch of those. And you sell 1 extra ultimate, 2 extra signatures, and like 3 or 4 extra homemakers. That's the mentality that I hope you're going to get from Quentin's talk. I don't want to take his thunder, right? But does everyone get the idea? Every once in a while, we teach this and we teach it. We forget to mention that, like, listen, you could never sell an ultimate and you'll sell a crap ton more Cutco if you know how to sell an ultimate. Make sense? Okay. Going fast. The money schedule. I'm going to review that. It's 15 minutes. We're going to talk about it up here as well. Can you guys see my cursor? Okay, good. We're going to talk about it up here too, but I will say we'll review the money schedule for 15 extra minutes later. And then we'll also, I've got a guest speaker, a guy that I literally invest 5 figures in a year for coaching for me. Okay, over about $18,000 a year that I spend on coaching for me. And the fact that he is able and time-wise willing to join us for 30 minutes. He used to be a district manager in 2001. Well, he's a rep and a manager way in the early 2000s. Okay. And now he's a professional coach of CEOs across the world, across the country. And Matt Drinka, his coach Matt. Yeah. And then I'll be wrapping up today. So that's our general agenda. Those of you that are taking screenshots, whatever, you can feel free. But I will say this, don't just be the guy who's taking whatchamacallit, screenshots today, because we all know what happens with screenshots. I've taken 10 screenshots in the last 5 days easily, right? Have I looked at them? Not even once. Okay. So don't just be that guy that's taking screenshots. I'll look at this later. I'll look at this later, or I'm going to audio record this so that I get all the info, and you'll never listen to a 4-hour meeting ever again. There's no way, right? 0% chance. Okay. So what you want to do today is be taking notes, because that's active learning. If we had more time today, I'd take in breakouts and say, let's do takeaways. I want you to share, you three share, what are your biggest things that either action steps or takeaways from this meeting, right? If I had more time, but for time's sake, I don't have that time. So I'd like to invite all of you today to be, if you need pen, if you need paper, ready, set, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Good job, McCord. Here we go. 1, 2. All right. Excellent. Share some paper, whatever we got to do. All right. Excellent. Hey, there's going to be some supplemental information in the next couple of weeks on Champs Club. So this is not fully accurate, but it's pretty accurate. I wouldn't doubt that this is what it's going to be. But what you should do is plan on being on Champs Club as every day for the next couple of weeks, because that's what makes this meeting probably not 6 or 7 hours. It's only 4, but realize that the 30-minute Champs Clubs that we're going to have in the next 2 weeks are obviously going to be gearing you up for more information that will make you, and we'll review some information. We'll literally review stuff from this meeting in those functions, in those Champs Clubs, and at the team meeting on Wednesday nights. Okay. So this is like a time in Vector where literally every rep in the company is starting to get that this is a real job. They're starting to get that, like, man, I've been lazy, or man, I could sell more Cutco. This is Phil Bolander, 1994. Man, if I just, I'll go to the conference, and my manager, I sleep in, my manager picks me up and drives me to the conference, or you guys heard the story, right? And it's like, this is the time, and the fact that you guys are here today, and I hadn't even started the job. Here I am, $41 million later almost, and $650,000 personal sales, and a 29-year career, because my manager got my butt in his car and drove me to Iowa for the conference. And you know what? I didn't have this information. In other words, every single one of you is going to be ahead of where I was, even if you're not already. And like 90% of you are way ahead of where I was. So everyone fold your hands together, put your hands together, and on the count of 3, say bless. 1, 2, 3. Bless. Okay, because you are. I'm just imitating Patrick Guinier. Okay, Patrick Henry Guinier. Okay, so let's think about this for just a minute. What is the point? I'd like you to write down expanding your capacity, because listen, this push period is a microcosm for your life. This push period literally is, I told you this in the SLDM. Those of you that were at the SLDM a year in the last, few months, I told you that, how you do anything is how you do everything. You remember I said that? And it's like, if you're lazy here, you're going to be lazy there. Eventually you're going to struggle with other things, right? If you have bad habits here, you'll have bad habits there. No matter where you go in life, you're still there. You're the same ingredient to the equation, right? And that's hard to hear sometimes, but at the same time, that's why you want to grow here. Because if you grow through this push period, if you grow through this month and you sign up and you're like, let's do this, and you go after a scholarship, or you go after a 15K push, a 20K push, you want to win a rock, you want to make 3 or 4 or 5 grand. And maybe it's a necessity. You're like, I don't have a choice. I'm pushing because I got to make 5 grand, right? Or whatever it is. Then if you're like, the push that you do for yourself, it's going to make you a better CEO someday. It's going to make you a better mayor. It's going to make you a better Relief Society president. It's going to make you a better mother, sister, brother. It's going to make you a better owner of a business, a better manager at a company. It's going to make you better. And some of you don't need the money. Some of you are like, no, my tuition's paid, man. I could wait 4 years to even really make any serious money. And if, because you got a scholarship and you did all the hard work. Well, let me also remind you that the hard work that you put into those things is the exact hard work that you put into this, and the success comes here just like it came there. And if you've ever struggled at success, let's go ahead and ask the question, and you can raise your hand. Who's ever struggled at success? Like, it's actually a hard thing. Like, you have a hard, well, guess what? The how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you push and persevere and go after it and grow in the process and hit or don't hit or whatever your goal for the push, it's only going to make you more valuable in the marketplace, more valuable to yourself, and more valuable to your future family, life, company, whatever it's going to be. So this is a microcosm for how you're going to interact with challenge when maybe you don't have to. We live in America. You don't have to do anything, right? Because you're not like fighting someone for a bowl of rice. This is first world problems. But the challenges that you're going to have in this push, mentally or whatever, actually are just as challenging to you in your model of life as the challenges someone who is fighting for a bowl of rice. Does everyone get that? It may not be life-threatening, but to you and your first world problems, they are still as hard. Sometimes people mock the first world problems. Those are still your problems. Those are the biggest problems you faced. I mean, none of you are walking across the plains in a handcart, but your problems are just as hard as those problems were for them because they're used to pulling handcarts. Does everyone like get the point? Yeah. We live in America, we live in Utah, and there's Pioneer Day coming up. So we all know the analogy, but that their problems in their day were equal to the problems we have in their day, even though they're different. And we might laugh or admire their problems. They would look at our problems like you struggle with depression and looking at a silicon freaking device, and that's your problem. And you know what? They would not understand, but they kind of would. Does everyone understand my point? Problems that anyone faces today are still your problems, and they're just as challenging as someone else's problems. Who's got problems? Well, let's persevere and let's have a big push. Okay. Here's some examples of expanding your expanding your capacity. That was the word I was looking for. Okay. So, and perspective. You guys heard the Girl Scout cookies. Everyone's heard of Girl Scout cookies. I want to go fast here. Girl Scout cookies. Check this out. National average of Girl Scout cookies is 150 boxes. Katie Francis of Oklahoma City, average girl, 150 boxes. 2004 boxes in 2011, 7,400. She expanded her capacity by 3.5 times, right? To 2012. Next year, almost doubled that at 12,000. Next year, 18,000. 2014. 2015, 21,000. 21,000 boxes of $6 cookies.
Did she just open the doors and throw them in?
She sold them. She sold them, right? 11-year-old. Her keys to selling, girl. I want to know the keys to selling a crap ton of anything. It's the same thing. A lot of time, a lot of commitment, and asking everyone to buy. I'd write it down. Okay, if an 11-year-old can sell that much Cutco, what is that by $5? What's 21,000 by 5?
About 110.
$100,000. She sold $100,000 of Girl Scout cookies. I don't even know how long. Who's been a Girl Scout? How long is the push? How long is the Girl Scout window of selling cookies? Because it's only a certain time of year. Do you know? I don't know if it's 17 days. I don't know if it's 30 days. I don't know if it's 2 months, but that's $100,000. Yeah.
My mother-in-law leads a troop. It's a few months, like 3
It is a couple months. Okay. Still $100,000, right? That's a lot.
4 months.
And you sell average order of 400, not $5. Right? Keep that in mind. Okay. So selling $100,000 is hard no matter how you do it. Okay. I love this one, and it's a funny story because once I showed this at a meeting, and it was when we were talking about someone having a baby. It might have been my wife. And says the best moments of life are usually when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. And I remember this quote. It's voluntary. Remember, you're gonna have push forced on you. When you have a kid, maybe before you thought you were going to have a kid, when you have a really hard college semester, when you have a really hard law school semester, you're going to have a flood in your neighborhood. People have had that this month, right? This week, this last 2 months, right? You're going to have a crappy thing happen to you, cancer. You're going to have crazy stuff happen to you when it's forced on you. But the best moments in life are when you voluntarily went after something like selling a lot of knives. And that makes it, I hope you understand, okay? That makes it great. It makes it awesome, okay? And here's some stories, by the way. As a 17-year-old rep, and he's just a good friend of mine, John Berghoff, and he sold 26 grand in 14 days. His first push, 26 grand, 14 days. This is 1999, by the way. It's 10 consecutive after the push. I want you to remember the post push. After that push, he sold 2K a week every week for 10 weeks. And he was 18 and he turned 19. Okay. His second push, he sold $69,000. These were 14-day pushes, not 17 days. Sold 69 grand on 71 orders. This is 2000. Price of the homemaker was like 800. Price of the homemaker was 800. The ultimate was this new thing. Okay, 1999. $20,000 that he sold was after 9 p.m. of the 69 grand. And after that push, here's the cool thing. By pushing yourself through the push through this month, August, September, October, many of you are going to be in school, but you'll be able to sell so much Cutco. It'll be like laughable selling $1,000 or $2,000. How many of you guys would love to be making 30, 40, 45%? And it's laughable when you only sell $1,000. You're like, well, did I even work? Yeah, I made a $500 check, whatever. That's going to be awesome, right? Because if you blow through 3, 4, 5 pay raises in the push, I hope I'm building value, but look at that. He sold 10 weeks over 6 grand for 10 weeks. And it was like, whatever, I sold 6 grand, whatever, sold 6 grand, whatever, sold 6 grand, because he went after it. And he already had big numbers. And this was huge in the year 2000. It's huge today, by the way. Okay. So he started in Vector. Matt's going to talk about this, Coach Matt. Then he became a part of the Front Row Foundation. Then he became the CEO of marketing and sales for Vitamix. You guys know the blenders? He's the guy that got Vitamix into Costco. That's the only place you guys even know. But in the 2000s, you didn't know Vitamix at Costco because no one was sold anything at Costco. He literally pioneered the entire Costco roadshow where you see Vitamix and you see other companies, including Cutco, where we have that 2 weeks where we'll show up at Costco, and companies do that. And he literally helped us do that. But first he created, he quintupled their sales in a matter of a year or two as a company. And then he left that company and he started a business school. Okay. And then now he runs his own company called Exchange. It's about facilitating meetings. And Coach Matt is going to be on today. He's definitely been a part of the Exchange community as well. So the benefits of being on the Alliance. Okay. I've got an hour to go here. What is it? 9:35, right? 9:35. Okay, good. I want to keep cranking. Benefits of being on the Alliance. You're going to be held to high standards. This is not a time or a place for people to be lazy, lame, whatever, right? It's something that you're going to sign up for. And I want to make it clear. It will probably be the hardest thing you ever do in your professional career, in any job ever. And I'm talking about shoveling manure. I'm talking about construction, because it's mentally hard. It's way harder than physically hard. Does everyone get that? Mentally hard, way harder than physically hard. You're going to be held to a higher standard. How many of you guys actually would like the benefit of that? What's the benefit? You'll sell more. How about the feature of you'll have more time with your manager? That's a feature, but what does that mean you'll do? You'll sell more, okay? And how about having a better peer group? The people in this room and in your office that are a part of this program, you're going to lock arms and you're going to push the crap out of each other. Like really join arms, really lock arms and go after it, right? There was moments in the Avengers when Iron Man had a hard time, and what did other people do? They pushed him to step up. The Hulk, whoever, right? Making examples here. Okay. You'll begin saving money, which when you save half your paycheck, hint, hint, I would save every dollar you can. If you're an assistant manager, I would save every assistant manager dollar you make and save half of your paycheck. Jesse did that. All of your managers pretty much did that. And they put away more money than they made in the push, or put away more money than they were paid because they were saving over half of what they made. So I'm going to really challenge you to think about saving $2 to $5 grand, saving that much money in the next month. Okay. You could be invited to Leadership Academy. By the way, you'll sell more. You'll do something that you think you can't. Some of you are here today. You're like, there's no way I'm selling 20 grand in the month, Phil. You're high as a kite. Okay. And if you think that, that's awesome. Okay. Because we're going to work together to make that happen. We'll improve your resume, Isaac, right? And you okay, bro? Okay.
Yeah.
And opportunities next summer. Here's what I'll tell you. Many of the people that go after things in the push, they realize, wow, I love this job and I made a crap ton of money. And not only that, I learned that I could be a leader. I learned that I should be a leader. I learned that maybe I've led in other things before, softball or basketball teams, whatever. And some people have not had that experience, and they learn that they can have that experience, and they become a leader in 2024. Okay, this happens every year. Some of our best branch managers, by the way, if you've pushed yourself through a 17-day push and become a better, human or grown and all that stuff, it's like, give me more growth. Give me more growth because it's going to make me better in sports, going to make me better at life, going to make me better and later in life. And what I love about it is that you'll think differently again about yourself, about your opportunity. And again, by the way, you'll make a ton of cash. I hope that's stuff that you think would be worth your time. Okay, I really do. And continuing, it's the hardest thing you'll do professionally, the biggest 17 days of your career. And that's why we're having these trainings to help you guys get ready for it so that you actually know what to expect. And we walk you through how to have your biggest 17 days of your professional career. I'm going to get you the real stats on this. This is an old one, and we'll go over that later. I want to make sure you understand tomorrow or in the next couple of days, you're going to get the firecracker specials, the 4th of July specials. There's a lot of things. This one, I believe, is fully accurate, but I think the timing is going to be different. I asked the region staff to send me the new stuff, and they couldn't send it to me in time. But there's going to be a contest. Someone's going to win $1,000 next week. An extra $1,000. So if you're not excited to build momentum and have your 2 biggest weeks before the push starts, you should be now. So anyway, all right. These calendar dates, let's go ahead and this is one you screenshot, but we all know Phil Bollander's rule. You screenshot it, and then what do? You put every single event in your calendar. Right? Put every single event in your calendar. Over the 8th through the 10th, I'll draw attention to these 3 right here because most of you have the other ones. The 8th through the 10th, the 15th through the 17th, the 22nd to the 24th. Those are 3-day phone jams where you'll do more phone time in 3 days than you've ever done in your career 3 times. What's the point? I'll go over that later today, but this is a little expansion of the meeting of the stuff. Oh, I got this wrong. This is 1 to 6. Dang it. Okay, I got this one. I just can't believe I did that. Okay, 1 to 6 next Wednesday. Okay, 1 to 6. The date's right, and the time is wrong. Okay, and actually, now that I think about this, time is wrong too. Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. Let's just look at some paychecks. You got the dates. We'll get to the times. Okay, look at this. I want you to notice withholdings. I want you to notice withholdings and literally career sales growth. Career sales growth because of the SC2 push. Literally 2-3 weeks, you're tripling sales. Emily Gibson, she sold $3,600 week 1 of the push, I believe it was, and hit dirty 30 during the push. Hit dirty 30. It's just an awkward May right there. I just like that. That's funny. Okay. She had a comma paycheck. How many of you guys be down to make a comma paycheck, getting to the dirty 30 promotion at 12,000? Before the week started, she was at $8,000. Roughly $9,000, right? And then she's at 12,600. That feel good right now? If you had that happen to you, that'd feel good. You just hit 10,500, right? 10,500 this week. So selling a couple grand. Check out. Here's Cameron Cornejo. He had a $5,000 week during the push, and he made $1,400. He saved his entire bonus. He was at 40%, so he got his 10% bonus for the month. So he put $600 in savings, and it increased his savings to $900. He was only at 13 grand in career sales already, with about $1,000 in savings. Still got paid $800. How many of you guys would take an $800 paycheck having saved $600 in the same week? That feels good. $800 paycheck, $600 goes in savings. Okay, here's the next week. Look at the date. You guys see the date, the 19th of July. Look at this, 7 days later, the 26th of July, right? Sells $5,000, makes $900, saves 380, gets paid 500, and now his savings is at 1,300. His career sales went from 13 grand to 16 grand, right? Or whatever it was, 12,000. Donald Duke just had a baby. His wife did. Okay, $4,700 for the week. His career sales went from 20 to 25. He's getting paid some assistant manager pay, getting paid $1,400 from selling $5 grand in the push, and gets $1,700 direct deposit, puts money away, still gets $1,100, $1,200 check. His career savings now is $2 grand going up. He eventually became a manager at one level in our division. Here's Nick Fiesler in May. This was the first push period story that many of you remember from training when Jesse tells the story of selling 13 grand. His goal was 10. He went for 40 demos. He did 41 demos. His goal was 10. He sold 13. But look what happened in savings. He makes 300. He only sold $1,200. He was in school, right? Probably finals week, right? May 9th. Okay. Gets paid a little assistant manager pay, puts money away, gets paid $355, saves a little bit of money. He's only got $60 saved. He was a brand new AM right there, just brand new, getting a little cash, right? The very next week sells 7 grand, gets paid $2,300, puts a little more money away. He's got $250 in savings. He got a $2,000 paycheck. How many of you guys would be cool with $2,000 paycheck? By the way, the week before his career sales was 14 grand. Now it's what? 21 grand 1 week later. 7 grand in sales that week. Okay, check it out. Fire with a $2,000 paycheck, decides to really start putting money away, sells another 5, starts putting his assistant manager at plus withholdings. Now, a week ago, he had $250. Now he's got $850. He gets an $1,100 check the 7 days after his $2,000 check, the 7 days after his $400 check, $350, right? And what did he do? This is what's really fun. Check it out. He sold first push, 13 grand. The second push sold 27,000. The next push. So the first push, he sold 13 grand, 40 demos. The next week, 50 demos. The next push, 50 demos, 27 grand in sales. And in 3 paychecks, earned 36, saved 850. Okay. The second push, a month later, like literally a month and a half, 2 months later, he sells 7 grand to 2,000. His savings now is at 4 grand a month and a half later. For the week, he put 800 away for the week. Do you guys see that? And then the next week puts another $1,000 away, literally the next week. And now he's at $5,000 in savings. It's pretty cool. I love those emojis. Okay. And the next week he's at $5,600 in savings. Second push, his career sales goes from 38 to 65 because he sold $27,000 in the push on 42 orders. Write that down. 42 orders out of 51 demos. 42 orders out of 51 demos. How many of you guys would like that closing percentage? Okay. So there's 9 weeks left of the summer. 9 weeks left of the summer. The idea is you're going to use these 2 weeks to build momentum. So 2 weeks of momentum building. If I'm writing notes, I would write down 2 weeks to build momentum, 17 days to push, and then there's still another month of summer left after that. So there's 9 weeks left of the summer. How big could your income be in the next 9 weeks? Because if you're approaching 6 or 8 grand or 10 grand in career sales right now, which a lot of you are, then you're looking at making 6 to 8 grand in the next 9 weeks, maybe 10, 12, 15,000 in the next 9 weeks. Okay. One piece of advice is to start saving. Okay. Here's something that I'll give you assignments to do later. Okay. Assignments to do later. All right. And that is so maybe make a little side note or a column or something in your notes. I'll give you some assignments later, but the first thing I would assign you to do is to go buy Cutco samples. So on the shop, it's non-customer orders or something like that. I think it's called non-customer orders. Or in Vector Connect, you just search buy Cutco samples. Don't do it now. Don't start buying stuff now, but do this later. Go on there. The more Cutco you can have of your own to keep and to play with and to fondle and use and play and get experience with literally at home, the more you guys should be slicing and dicing at home. Right. If you don't get Band-Aids a few times in this job, then you're not doing your job, in my opinion. Okay. If you don't get stitches, that's probably a good thing. Okay. But everything else beyond stitches, just, go crazy. Cutco nutso. Look at that, guys. You can buy, what's an ice cream scoop? $56 or something like that. You can buy it for $11. Right. The can opener, it's $10. I think it's a $54 can opener or something like that. The trowel is like 40 something dollars. You can buy that for $9. When you can hand it to people, right? Your aunt, your uncle, someone who bought from you 2 weeks ago, you can hand them more Cutco during the push. It's not crazy for reps to have 50 demos done, 70 orders. Remember I told you John Berghoff, he had 71 orders in 14 days. That's 5 orders a day. I don't even think he did 5 demos a day, but he had 5 orders a day because he sold to, previous customers. Okay. All right. There's a lot of Cutco to buy. Look at that flatware for $20. You got a stainless steel table knife. This isn't it, but you get a stainless steel table knife. You get a fork and a spoon. Tell me you'll sell more Cutco. That's one I would actually tell you to get. Like, go ahead and throw down $22. Buy all this stuff. That's $10, right? And then if you don't have a homemaker completion set, you can buy it in Pearl or Classic, a butcher, a carver, a slicer, a turning fork, the candlestick maker, all the things. Okay, just buy that thing. All right. And then you can also buy the gourmet set, like the full gourmet set. By the way, if you have that plus the homemaker completion set plus your sample kit, there's your ultimate set for the rest of your life. For like $300, $400, you got yourself an ultimate set. How much is that? Minus table knives, it's easily $3,000 worth of Cutco, right? For like $400. So it's a really cheap deal. And then don't be afraid to buy at least one cookware sample and or the second sample, right? You have to buy, you can buy this one now. You're at $78. You can buy the first sample kit now, but if you're over 10K, you can buy the other. By the way, most frequently used pan by far is that gourmet the 11.5-inch skillet with the cover. There's 2 of them right there. Okay. I've got 3 of them at home. So that one gets used the most in my family. Okay. So go ahead and buy Cutco samples as soon as you can. And so I'm going to give you the assignments here. Use the 4th of July to build momentum. Okay. By Wednesday, I want to talk about this and then we'll get to fuel to your business pretty quickly. Okay. We're doing all right. So one thing you want to do in order to get ready for the push, So jot these things down. Assignments on the side, clean out your life. Most of you want to clean out a few things. I'll suggest your car, because you'll be driving it in-home demos, many of you, right? Again, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbors, they'd rather see you face to face, right? They don't want to see you on some screen, right? Okay, we got people talking in the chat box. That's awesome. Okay. In fact, I'll put it up here. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Put this right here. So clean out your car. Clean out your sample kit. Those of you that have a sample kit, like you might have like rope, leather, and dust and like scrappiness and craziness. Just throw it away. Don't even ever put that stuff in your kit. Just throw it in the customer's trash, right? So use that. And then one thing I need to do while we're talking here, I need to make a few co-hosts. Oh, someone's already done all this stuff. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you, Jesse and everybody else. Okay, and you want to clean out and get ready like your calendar. So what this means, in my opinion, is find out when your family is doing stuff. Find out when your family is doing stuff before the push starts. Make that decision for sure. Okay, so clean out your calendar. I would even say if you've got, let's say you're doing summer school, then get your homework done in the next, few days, let alone the next few weeks before the push starts on the 11th of July, right? Make sure you do some fun stuff. Go to Lagoon, not during the push, right? So if you're going to go to Lagoon before the push, right? And make sure you open up those 17 days of the push. We'll go over the calendar in just a minute, okay? Communicate with loved ones. This one's really, really important. There's 2 things you need to communicate to mom and dad, to brothers and sisters, girlfriends and boyfriends, husbands and wives, however many of those you have. I'm just kidding. Okay, so you need to tell them the dates and you need to tell them your goals. So write that down. You need to communicate dates. Most of you have screenshots that your manager should have sent to you, right? Of when the phone jams are. When's the division meeting kickoff on the 10th, right? And we're going to show you then the calendar when that is. So if you didn't screenshot that earlier, it's okay. So you need to communicate with Anna, right? You need to communicate with, you need to communicate with mom and dad. You need to communicate like this is what's happening. Because moms and dads don't think you have a real job. Raise your hand if you agree. Moms and dads don't think you have a real job. Okay. Why? Because you're not working the job like a job. You're working the job like a hobby. And maybe they see you making some calls and they see you like, oh, this is interesting. It's fun. But they thought about that when you took the clarinet lessons. You know what I mean? Like, this is fun. This is interesting. Right. But when you really treat the job, if you really think about it, the push, how many of you guys thought when you applied for the job that you would work the job 40 hours? No. When you applied, you're like, oh yeah, $21. I'll work 40 hours. Heck yeah. Like, that's what I thought when I was in my, like, getting ready for my interview. And then you don't even bother wake up because you have all this flexibility. And here's what the push really is. Treat the job like a job for all 17 days. By the way, some of you, I might be stressing you out. Let me make a point. 50 demos is enough to sell 10 to 30 grand. 50 demos, 10 to 30 grand. 50 demos divided by 17. Take out your calculators. You have to do this. 50 demos divided by 17 days.
That's almost 3 demos.
Almost 3 demos. I know the answer, by the way. Be crazy and put a couple Sundays in there. Isn't that stupid? It's ridiculous. Let's say you don't work Sunday. Let's make it 3 Sundays out. So now 50 demos divided by 14. It goes all the way up
to
3.4.
4 demos.
3.9 demos, 3.4 demos. So went from 2.9 demos to 3.4 demos. You have to complete 3.4 demos. Let's throw that out there. Completing 3.4 is completing 4. How many need to book a day? 5 or 6. How many of you thought you would do 8 hours of work every freaking day when you applied for the job? Like, you were thinking 40 hours, $21, 40 hours. I'll do that.
Yep.
What we're basically saying for the push is you're going to work the job like a real job, 40 hours, no matter what. In fact, screw 40, do 50 or 60, and you'll be glad when you make 6 figures, or not 6 figures, 5 figures. Well, 4 figures minimum over the course of 17 days. But really it's like 3 to 5 grand, 3 to 8 grand in income. Who'd take 3 to 8 grand and maybe work a little overtime? A little more than 40 hours. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that legal? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but you need to communicate this with mom and dad. Otherwise, they're going to hijack you. And they're going to be like, we're going to Lagoon. No, right? That's why you have to do this in preparation. By the way, the reps that do this, they make 5, 8 grand and push. The reps that don't, like, punk out on themselves because they didn't do what their manager told them to do, which is communicate with mom, dad, and everybody else. Okay. Go ahead and order your Cutco samples. I'm giving you an assignment to do. Why? Why now? Why today? Here's why. If you don't order them today, will you receive them by the 10th of July? No. You need to receive them within the next 12 days, right? Does everyone get that? At least if I'm you, I'd want to have them in my hands to show to people the first day of the push, right? So go ahead and do that tonight. Like, order your stuff, invest $100. The way we used to talk about this when every demo was in person, like we drove from West Jordan to South Jordan to like Lehigh to Saratoga, you drove from Bountiful to Layton and you did that. We used to say, take $300 of gas money and Cutco sample money, and you're going to put it on this altar in the tabernacle and Moses and Isaac and Jacob, and you're going to literally torch $300 like a fatted calf. And you know what? The benefits are going to be $5,000 income. Can you torch $300 to make 5,000? Does everyone get the idea? So we're not even saying, some of you aren't, even doing a lot of in-home demos, but same mentality. Go ahead and torch a couple $100 and to make a couple thousand, right? So it's worth it to throw down right now. Okay, good. Patrick's blowing up the chat. I appreciate you, Patrick. This is really great. And is the chat being shown? It's like, I got it here. Okay, you guys are seeing it. Okay, good.
Wait, Philly,
All
how
right.
much was the
Marvelous.
ultimate?
After all said and done, you spend like $400 if you don't have all your. But now, if you want all the homemaker pieces in your fast start, just buy the gourmet set for $200. But then buy the cookware and the other stuff. Okay. All right. Oh, next thing. Oh, shoot. Okay, here we go. Create your goals thermometer. Create your goals thermometer.
Yeah.
I know some of the people in the Salt Lake office worked on this yesterday, where they were creating their goals sheet yesterday, which is awesome. if you did that. Okay. So creating that for sure is big time. Okay. Let's go ahead and make sure we're good here. Okay, excellent. So make your goals, and your manager and you need to take some time to put these goals in your, calendar, in your calendar, and in like, what are you really able to do? And I'll talk about that in a minute. And the last thing is you need to make sure that you have I'm going to say 100 to 300. 100 to 300 names by a week from tomorrow. Okay. A week from tomorrow. All right. So have 1 to 300 names by a week from tomorrow, and get a PC with your manager. That red one is so important. Okay. 1 to 300 names by a week from tomorrow, by the 5th. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. Like literally that's our next subject. Okay. Almost our next subject. Okay. And have this PC with your manager in the next 8 days to decide what's your goal going to be, what's your capacity. Because there's one of the people in the Salt Lake office where it's literally going to be a 9 or 8 day push and then leaving the country, right? Hudson and I have talked about that. So leaving the country, going to another hemisphere, that's fine. But those 8 days, we want Hudson to go huge, and Hudson wants her to go huge. Okay. Hudson to go huge. Okay. All right. And lastly, I'm going to say, throw down and save. Tell your manager, I'm signing up for withholdings. I want to go large. I'm going to be making more money than I've ever made in 17 days legally. And I'm going to save 50% of it. Okay. Make that decision, because you'll sell more. You'll be better at the job. You'll be more committed and everything, there. Okay. So, alrighty, let me do this, move that, and go here and here. And that and there. All right, excellent. Got so many things in the way. And chatty chat. There it is. Okay, good. Leadership. The next meeting, we all know it's 1 to 6. There's the right times. Okay, it's 1 to 6 a week from tomorrow. So in office, again, there's a few people here in the Salt Lake office or in the general area that can, should, would be here a week from tomorrow. So here's what I want you to plan. I want you to plan 1 to 6 for the meeting, and then we'll bust over to Chick-fil-A. We'll bust over to somewhere and have dinner rather, at 6. And then we'll come back for the phone jam at 7 and the team meeting. So it's going to kind of be like a 1 to 9, 9:30, and we'll do some team night out stuff. Whether you're Layton, whether you're, whatever Salt Lake office you are or whatever, we want to still invite you here to do that meeting with us a week from today here. And we'll have a combined team meeting, and then we'll do a little combined team night out, whether we go play ultimate frisbee or do cornhole or both or whatever, then we'll do that. Okay. Answer. Good.
I was just gonna ask if there's any way I could call.
If there's a personal situation, talk to your manager. Okay. Thank you, Isaac. So time's sake. But that's, yeah, individually you'll talk about that. For time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and move on. 2 subjects. Here we go. Actually, take a second, jot down some notes on this. We will do these questions really quick. We don't have time to share, right? We don't have time to share. How many of you write these questions down, but how many of you plan on doing something more with your life than where you're at right now today? Like you want to be successful in some walk of life, like whether it's medical field, the education field, you want to become a doctor, a lawyer. How about a mother, a father? You want to be a successful entrepreneur, you want to be a successful financial planner, something big later in life. Okay. Write those things down. Who do you aspire to be? Bless you. You can use your pen with this. Okay. Yeah. Good idea. All right. So what are some things that you aspire to be? Some of you may not know, and that's okay. But how about writing down not just adjectives, but maybe in what field or in what way? So don't just write down successful, right? Write down, I want to make $250,000 a year. In the old days, people used to say 6-figure income is cool, but in today's dollar, that's not very much. Okay. So if you want to make 200 grand or 300 grand in a year, if you want to make $1 million a year, if you want to make $1 million a month, if you just want to be a CEO of your own company, right? Maybe you don't want to be a CEO, but you want to learn how to, run a business or become a doctor or become a teacher and be that teacher that students actually remember for the rest of their lives. Now, you could choose to write down who you are today or not. But I think most of us would agree that we are not currently that person yet. Does everyone understand that? Like, I have bigger goals than what I'm achieving right now, right? And when are you going to close the gap? And I think that you understand that the push, I've already mentioned this, is your opportunity to figure out how to close the gap. Closing the gap in where you are today to where you want to be later in your life is largely going to be dependent on what you do between now and then. And let's get started now instead of saying, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Let's get started in summer 2023. So let's think of the analogy here is this is a tabletop, or let's say this is my goal, or let's say the entire slide is the goal. If I have one reason, you guys see the white on the screen? The white is the top of a table and you're looking down on the table. Is everyone with me? If you have one reason why you want to achieve anything, it's usually like, it'd be fun. Like, whatever, like that's a one like, oh, I guess I'd like to make $1 million, but you're not committed to it. You're never going to make $1 million because you're just like, it'd be fun, right? If you have a one-leg table, how stable is that table? It's not stable at all, right? I mean, you lean on that thing with a little weight and it's going to break in half, right? Little bust right off that leg. If you have a two-leg table, who's ever seen a two-leg table? It's called every fast food restaurant, right? And, it is what it is, but, those are somewhat stable, but especially if it's a huge table, right? It's not very stable, right? If it's a little 4-person, taco table, that's different, right? But even those are wobbly, okay? But if you have 3 legs, is it more stable than 2 legs?
Yeah.
Is 4? How about 5?
Oh,
How about 6?
Yeah.
How about 36 legs under a table?
Wow.
50 legs under a table.
Amazing.
Is there anything on earth that could stop that table from standing?
No.
There's nothing that can break that table. It's 100%. There's zero there. You can't break that table, period.
Well,
Right? When you have 36, 40, 50 legs, right? And the point of your push period goal. So imagine the tabletop right now is your push period goal. 15K, 20K, 30K, 8 days, 17 days, whatever it is. Your goal is X amount of CPO in the push. What we need you guys to do is you need to start writing down, everybody right now, reasons why for the push, reasons why. And it's got to be more than the paycheck. What are you going to do with the paycheck? Start writing. I want you to this is a brainstorming. This is like, you're in day 1 of training and we're trying to get you to think of 30 people that you could sell Cutco to. I want you to be writing the smoking pen, right? The pen is like smoking as it's going across your paper because you're writing feverishly. If you're a typer, then that's fine. You're typing reasons. What are the reasons why you want to go big? We need to get to 50 reasons. So I'd like you to get to 30 today. And some of your reasons can be literally like, I want to look fly at SC1, SC2, and I want a better outfit. Put it down. How about I want to buy my mom an amazing present because every Mother's Day for the last 5 years has sucked for her. Okay. Right. It could be I want to buy a motorcycle. Remember Noah Glazoff was an assistant manager and I looked up to him and he wanted to buy a Harley Davidson and started shooting first week of September. I walked into the office. He rode up with an orange and white Harley Davidson. And I was just blown away. Okay. It was like that kid had a nice car, but he wanted a Harley Davidson. He didn't have a nice car. It was a college kid car, but you know what I mean? Okay. But he made that cash that he needed to make. Thank you. Some of you are writing in the Venn diagram here, making your little arms and spider legs and stuff. It's great. Some of you guys are right. Don't worry, Jacob. Just do what you're doing. Write it in a list because on this slide, I have it as a list.
it's cool that you're different.
Okay. Go ahead and write this down. Please write down what you resonate with. Please write down right now as fast as possible the reasons here that you resonate with most. Okay. I'm going to try and do this as calmly as I can. Some of you are here today because you actually are thinking already, I want to be a branch manager. I want to be a leader. And I'm going to start with that one because it's on the top right. I'm going to say this. You should push your asteroids off because when you want your reps to be successful, don't you think you should have stories to tell them about your push periods? Guys, when I was in my push periods, the hair on the back of my neck, right? I had hair on the top of my head too, but the hair on the back of my neck would stand up like every demo. And when I did 50 demo, I did 19 1 week and 32 the second week. It was a 2-week push. So 19 plus 32, funny enough, is exactly 51 demos. I didn't sell 27,000. I won't make excuses for the fact that the homemaker was half the price of what it was for Nick. But the point is, I didn't sell even in those dollars how much Nick sold in the push period that he did 51 demos. But I did 51 demos, and when I sold 10 grand, barely by the skin of my teeth, right? I mean, every 51 times in my push period, my hair would stand up on the back of my neck because I was so lit about my goal. And you know what? When I've told that story ever since then, it's inspired a lot of people to go after it themselves and decide to do 50 demos and sell 15, 20, 30 grand in a push. Okay. But again, when you're going to be a leader someday, how many of you guys think you're going to be a leader someday? Like in the government, in school, or be a teacher or a principal or something like that, then you should want to be a leader right now, because you'll have a story that's not even, and when you're not even in Cutco anymore, you can tell this story, right? About how you went after something and it was freaking hard and you went after it and you achieved something. Do you think it's going to matter on your mission? Yes. Do you think it's going to matter when you have a kid who's trying to figure out school and he's 12 years old and he can't figure out why school's so hard, and you'll be able to tell a story about something you went after that was hard? Maybe your son or daughter is going to try and make the gym, the whatever soccer team, and their skill or talent isn't quite there. And you're going to have to talk about how to push hard, right? How about memories? I'm randomly looking down here. How about if you all went out and went crazy and got a little, we call it sometimes, swimming in this challenging lake, you just swim in this challenge, this push period, and you just get crazy. I don't know why it always comes out. Just dive in, so to speak. Okay. I won't go into all that, but I will say that you're going to have these memories that you'll never forget. You went to band camp, you went to soccer camp. Who's gone to a camp before? Girls camp, boys camp, whatever. This is the type of experience professionally that's exactly like that, where you'll have these memories of everybody going all out, everybody making a ton of cash, and having an amazing experience in the summer of 2023. Fun. How about connecting with your peer group? And really, yesterday we had a little phone jam. 3 or 4 people in our office got together and they all made phone calls, and they decided to go after something big and start setting goals and things like that. How about a position of choice where you're now someone that your manager is like, dude, you should be an assistant manager. Will you be an assistant manager? Can you be a branch manager? You can be. How about you'd like to have your division manager asking you to be a part of our division and the $3, $4, and $5 million division that we're going to have in 2024 and 2025? That position of choice on the lower left here, guys, position choice. Again, you want to be writing in your notes, what are the things that resonate most with you? How about 2 to 5 grand in income? And again, that's for some of you. There's at least 20% of the group here that it's not 5 grand. It would be not a failure, but it would be like not quite the number that we wanted for some of the assistant managers, some of the leaders in this room. To only make 5 grand in those 17 days would actually be low, right? Some of you are making 40 and 45 and 50%, and you're about to get a $150,000 career sales mark in a matter of the next 28 days, 30 days, Bucky, right? For example, okay, because he's at 90 grand or something like that. Are we at? Is it 90? 81. Okay. So a little ways off, but you get the idea. Okay. Branch managers have the opportunity. Patrick, right, has the opportunity to get his 150 career sales mark, 150K career sales mark. Okay. How about someone that we talk about instead of, I'm talking about Cameron Cornejo? How about I talk about Jacob Kraft, right? Instead of me talking about, Emily, whoever it was a second ago, why don't I talk about Faith, right? How about so-and-so only had 8 days to push, and he or she sold 15 grand in 8 days. How cool would that lore be? And you know who else? When someone else has a hard push and they only have 12 days or 8 days to do it, if I have a story to tell about you, that's cool for someone else down the road. Again, lore, IMD lore, like you're a person we're going to be talking about. All of you will win President's Club in the push. That's a letter of recommendation written and signed personally by the president and the CEO of the company that you'll take on every job interview, grad school interview, nursing school interview for the rest of your life. Okay. So that's huge, right? I hope you're writing down a lot of these things. How about a shopping spree? How about either a shopping spree for you or a shopping spree for you and your sister or your mom or your brother? How many of you have someone that you like owe like your life to? Take them on a shopping spree. How cool would that be where you're the one paying instead of someone else paying for you? Okay. So how about a vacation? How about a trip? Opportunities are abounding. How about get on the events team? That's a pretty cool opportunity. Getting on the events team. Okay. Hope you're getting all this. I'm kind of okay. Let's move along. All right. The idea though, today of how do you have a big push is right. I would like you to write these 5 things down. The commitment that you need to make to yourself for the push, okay, for the push is you're going to have 100 to 300 names. 200 names is my favorite, at least, before the push starts. Right, before the push starts, of like literally just solid leads, period. Like you could sit down and call people constantly until you've called through 200 people. Okay, that's the next 30 minutes of what I'm going to cover. The schedule. I'm going to talk about the blue and orange schedule a little bit for right now, and then I'll move and we'll go through it more in depth after Quentin is done today. And you'll commit to 40 to 60 demos. Sometimes I say that number and people freak out, but we already laughed at it, didn't we? It's literally like 2 to 3 a day done, which means you're booking 4 to 5 to 6 a day, if you depending on how many days you work. Because I've done 10 demos in a day twice in my career. And that was before we did virtual demos. Now we do virtual demos and the record is 12. We need to change the record. I forget who broke it. It's been so weird with COVID in the last few years. Okay, but people have done 12 demos in a day. What's it take to do 40 demos? That's 3.5 days. So could someone do 40 demos in 8 days or 9 days or 10 days? Yeah. So some of you have like a Pioneer Day vacation or you have something going on in the push. Can you still do 40 demos or 50 demos? Yeah, you can do that. Okay. And don't be afraid to just, okay. She needs it. Okay. Also the push, you're gonna be pushing yourself and you're gonna be going after it. You're gonna be talking to your manager like left and right. If you don't talk to your manager 10 times a day, when you're doing 3 to 5 demos in a day, you're probably talking to your manager 10 times a day. And if you don't get him or her, then you call the division manager or you call the assistant manager, and you literally are getting coached the whole time. It's like you're in the playoffs, right? Do coaches take off during the playoffs, or they're more intense during the playoffs, right? And you're locking arms with each other and you're locking arms with your manager. And again, building momentum for the next couple weeks. Thumbs up if you got this stuff written down. Thumbs up. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Izzy. I'm not doing my fair share of recognizing and communicating with those of you that are at home. Hey, how are we doing in Hawaii? Riley, we good? There, she got her thumbs up. Beautiful. All right. Riley's like, I'm getting back in time for the push. That's going to be awesome. Okay. We talked about the 50 reasons, and that's what we got to be going for. And so now really briefly, I want to talk about the schedule. Oh, it was right there. Okay. And this is a quick version. It's the exact schedule that Jesse and I put together yesterday. Okay. And this is what it's going to look like. And then what each of you will do, by the way, there's going to be the push kickoff meeting on the 10th. Everyone knows this, right? And look at what's possible if you have nothing else going on. Everything in blue is phone time, suggested phone time. And really, you'll do more phone time than what's there. But just in the first 6 days, what is it? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The first 5 days of the push, there are 39 open demos. If you missed 0 phone time and missed 0 like meetings, right? 39 demos. What did I say you have to do for the whole push? 40 to 50? maybe 60.
70.
There's 39 right there in the first week. The objective is before week one starts, we want you guys to start that week with 20 of them booked. So at this meeting, or by Monday night, when we're done with the phone jam, what we're going to do is we're going to meet at the office. Everyone, unless you're in Wyoming or something like that, you're going to meet at the office. We're going to phone here. We're going to phone here. And then look at me, guys. Look at the screen. You're either going to phone here. Salt Lake City likely will be here. Or here. Or here. But you'll have 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. One of those 3. And then this block and that block. And you count 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. What is that? 9 hours. 9 hours of phoning at 20 to 30 calls an hour. That's about 200 to 300 phone calls. You do 200 to 300 phone calls at 5-6 to 1 ratio. We're talking about booking 20 demos as we start this week. If you had 20 demos before you woke up on Tuesday morning for that week, who's jacked? I mean, that's really, really exciting. I'm excited about if I did that. Do you guys understand? I've done that. I don't get to as division manager. I have other jobs, like the region manager would fire me if I did that. But you guys understand, like that fires me up if I was doing that and I'm not getting 3 or 4 or 5 pay raises. Right? You guys get that? And this is where we literally set up the year 2024. Like your growth and your opportunities will happen with what we do in these 17 days. All right, here's second week of the push. Look, notice the potential demos going from Sunday to Sunday. What is it? It's covered up. I knew it was covered up. 55 demos, openings with all these blue phone time. We're going to probably insert more blue phone time in for you guys individually, but there are some specific phone jams that we want everybody at. Notice that on the weekends, like in getting like Monday's the end of the week. It's the end of the week. So the weekend, even though it's not Monday's not a weekend day. You guys get that? It's the end of the week. So this is like a phone jam towards the second half, right? The second half, the end of the first week, you'll have phone jamming going into to set up this spot of demos. And then you'll have these phone jams to book up the next set of demos. But the idea is that every Monday before the Monday is over, you got 20 demos booked for the next 3 or 4 days. And if you do that 3 times, what's 20, 20, 20? No wonder you can book 60 demos. Week 1, there's 39. Week 2, there's 55. Week 2, there's 3. There's 29 demos. It's like 100 and some odd demos available. How many of those 100 and some odd demos? I think we said 128 yesterday. How many did we tell you have to book? Half of them, right? You book half of them and you'll complete 40 or 50. Who's like, it's kind of overwhelming in a way, but in the other way, it's like, well, I just got to do phone time and a lot of it, and then I'll sell a lot.
Easy peasy.
And all these reasons will be worth it, right? Like that'll be worth it. Okay, I guess I'll go for it. Oh, I guess I should commit. Do what Phil, like the assignments. And then it's not a question mark. Some of you guys are like overwhelmed because it might be like, I've never sold that much Cutco. Well, if you had, we wouldn't be called a push, right? It wouldn't be called that. Okay. We'll talk about this in Champs Club, by the way, as far as enrolling your customers in your goals and how we share our goals. Let me do one more slide here. This isn't Faith, not Faith, but here's Nick Fiesler's orders. Remember I told you Hudson, $27,000 in sales. This is good for Bucky. Check this out. Okay. $27,000 in sales in 51 demos, Tyler. How many orders over $1,000? How many orders over $1,000? By the way, that still, oh, that's not, that's, he probably bought the garden trial there or something. He bought an order. Okay. But he had 8 orders over 1,000. And if you add those 8 orders together, it's about half of his 27 grand. So 8 fatties, that was like 13 grand. And then the other 40 minus 42 minus 8. So the other 34 orders are about 13 grand. What's 13 grand about? Take your calculator, Hudson. Take your calculator. What's 13 grand divided by 42? I know the answer, by the way. 14 grand divided by 32. 390. Average order was 390, right? You did it the other way around.
Yeah.
You did the wrong. You flipped it. Okay, so the average order was 390, other than 8 big fat orders. Like that's what you want to understand about a push. 40 orders in 17 days. By the way, let me just remind you, 40 orders, 17 days, 42, I think it is 42 legit orders. Okay. And you divide that out. That's some pretty exciting numbers, right? Okay, so let's go. Okay, good. I like that. Let me play that again. Ready? Did I figure that out myself? Oh, that's so good. Okay, that was amazing. Okay, that's going to be our next, that's Quentin. So let's talk about fuel to your business. Okay, now this is notes. You're going to write like crazy. I got 20, 30, 23 minutes. 23 minutes. Okay. And fuel to your business. Everyone write down mission 200. And you're going to be typing or writing feverishly here, guys. I'm going to talk fast. You're going to write fast. Okay. And fuel to your business is essentially, Phil, I don't have 200 names to call. Well, we're going to talk about how to get that. And I don't want to come across too harshly here, but you're full of it. Because I said that and I had plenty of people to call. I'll prove it to you because I was on my mission 3 months, 5 months later, and I was thinking of literally 10, 20, 30 people I should have sold the Cutco to. I was like, I'm like, I should be thinking about my mission. Right. And I was, but my point is, like, later I start, why didn't I sell to them? Why didn't I sell to them? Why didn't I sell to them? Who's had that happen already to you? You've already had that. Like, why haven't I called them? Why haven't I called them? The objective of my next 24 minutes is for me to have you guys think of those people instead of 6 months from now. You think of them now. And your objective between now and Wednesday is to get their names and numbers into your Vector Impact app. Like, that's where you want to be 8 days from now. Whatever that is from now is 40. It's like 196 hours from now, 192 hours from now. Okay. All right. You guys cool with that? So, oh, I get it. Fuel. Get it? Because the BMW. All right, good. Okay. So it's like way old BMW. That's like super ancient. I need a new BMW picture. Okay. So your initial list. Let's talk about the initial list and why. Why your initial list? Everybody has 200 people on your initial list. And some of you, as soon as I say that, you like want to fight me. You want to literally throw down. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys, your initial list, the way you've defined it, you're right. You do not have 200 names on your list because you think that your initial list has to be people that, like, their social security number, like, them that well, right? Or something like silly like that. Your initial list is please jot it down. It's literally any human being you've ever met that you're not even met, but you've been connected to. It's like, you guys know the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Does everyone know that? What is the game? You literally name an actor or actress, and within seven connections, you're back to Kevin Bacon. Wow. Kevin Bacon, Footloose guy, whatever. And it's usually like 3. Yes.
They've shown that if you know like 20 people, you can connect to almost anyone on the planet with 7 connections.
Yes, with 7 connections. That's why
Even if they're just some random kid
right
in Asia.
100%.
Yeah.
Social media is a perfect proof of that. People you may know, they're doing it for you. Like, literally on social media, they figure out who you're connected to, 1 or 2 or 3 generation, connections, but you can go 7 and then bam, it's unreal, right? Okay. So it's it's how viruses are spread. I'm just kidding. Okay. So I watched a spy movie with like some virus they were spread. Okay. So thank you, Hudson, for self-monitoring. Okay. So the bottom line is you have not shown a couple hundred people that you need to put down. And it's not the people that you're super close to. It's the people that you actually just need to get off your like whatever you're sitting on, okay, that makes you think that you can't connect to them. Is everyone with me on that? Because the way you've defined your initial list so far, you're right, there's not 200 on it. But if you define it differently, you actually have more than 200. 200 is not a stretch at all. Okay. So I'm going to write down what I'm going to have you guys do is you're going to write the question on the left, the name on the right. So like in your notes right now, pen and paper, you're going to write the subject and the question, or the name and the person, or the source, and then the human being that would qualify it in that category, right? So let's take, for example, your current doctor. All of you have a current doctor. He or she has a phone number, and someone that you know has that person's phone number, or that person's wife's phone number. Straight up, I'll tell you. So there's people in this room that told me they have a doctor's appointment today. It's about that easy. You go to the doctor, you go there and you explain what you're doing, get their number and say, can I give you a call? Or go talk to the front desk and ask for their wife's phone number. Okay, you'd be surprised how fast. Some of you know your doctor for 20 years. Like as long as you've been alive, they've been your doctor. Tell me they wouldn't do a demo with you. By the way, tell me they wouldn't buy a freaking huge set of Cutco, frankly. That might be one of your 8 fatty orders that you haven't even thought about yet because you've been making it. By the way, you know that you have 3-4 doctors. Some of your athletes, someone fixed your broken finger, someone fixed your broken hip, if you got a broken hip, I'm impressed. Okay. But you know, someone fixed your broken something, right? Or did a surgery on something or whatever, right? So there's that doctor too, right? When I had vocal surgery, I had nodes and I had vocal surgery. Dr. Katz literally sold Cutco in the 1970s before I was born. And he's like, yeah, he started doing the Petite Chef demo to me. Like we're talking about my thing in my throat. And he's like, yeah, I remember the Petite Chef. And yeah, Cutco, you know, like that's a person easily would buy Cutco, right? Obviously they sold Cutco. Next is your elementary school teachers. Man, if it's been 10 years since you saw them, you are going to unload Cutco. They are just going to be lit to see you. They're like, oh my God, Jameson, it's so long. Okay, like they'll be so fired up to see. Elementary school teachers don't get the love. High school teachers kind of do because you're like a almost adult and you like go back 2 years later and see them. You don't go back to your 3rd grade teacher ever. But you know what? You should. I was in love with my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Janura. So hot. Okay, guys, little Italian lady, she buys so much Cutco. She's dead now, I'm sure. Okay, but been a long time. Okay, but it's got to, that's a 30 some odd years. Okay, she had to, I don't know. But you're literally your elementary school teachers, they're probably on Facebook. Just go to social media and get them, say, oh my gosh, Miss Janura, how are you? And Miss Janura. Okay. And you could get their number. I have a quick question for you. Can I get your number? But you're like literally write down right now. 1st grade teacher. What's her name? Write it down. 2nd grade teacher right now. Don't just do it. Put down your 2nd grade teacher. See, there you go. Isaac's done 2 of them. That's awesome. 3rd grade. Write down 3rd grade teacher. Write their name right now. Don't be like just talking. Write them down. 1st grade teacher. Okay, Miss Starasto, Miss Janura was 2nd grade, Miss Faust was 3rd grade. My first detention ever for saying the F word, Miss Greenwood. Okay, 4th grade. 5th grade was Miss Schultz. 6th grade, Mr. Berger had a fake leg. When we were dorking around, he would take his leg off and slam it on the table, and his leg would be sitting there, and we were all like, oh my gosh, okay. So, but you should write down every single 1st grade, 2nd, 3rd grade, write them down. Don't just sit here and listen, write them down. Okay. Write them down. Okay. Your mom has the picture for crying out loud. You know you can get the name. You probably contact the actual elementary school and say, can I please get my 1st grade teacher's name and number? They'll be like, yes, you were in 1st grade. Here's her number. Like that's so like, you're like the 3rd person in 10 years that has called back and asked for their 3rd grade teacher's number. Do you guys understand? Like the elementary school teacher, elementary school front desk would probably just give you their number for crying out loud. Okay. All right. Middle school, you know, I'm going to middle school now. The cool thing about middle school is you had 6 teachers each year, right? You had 6 teachers. So write down 7th grade English, 7th grade history. Oh my gosh. Mr. That was his name. Okay. Right. He was the most unbelievable history teller. He blew my mind with history. Mr. Leland. Okay. Oh my gosh. That was such a great year of history. I was so fired up about history because the way he would tell these stories, it was unbelievable. How many guys had a history teacher that just went off every single class period? You were like fired up, right? You should totally sell them Cutco, right?
Explain this.
They're connected to you more than any other Cutco rep on the planet. Just bet on that. They are connected to you more than any other Cutco rep on the planet. So you got to call them, but you need to write them down first. Write them down. Okay. PE. 7th grade PE was Mr. Orgler. He's the one that got me into wrestling because I weighed 60 pounds, 70 pounds in 7th grade. And he's like, hey, you should be a wrestler because he needed a 70-pounder. He's like, I was small. He's like, you should be my 70-pounder. I'm like, okay. Right. So I signed up for wrestling and I did it for 6 years. But that's why I got into wrestling, because Mr. Orgler was my PE teacher and he made me come out for the wrestling team. I'm like, fine. And it was awesome. It literally was 6 years of my high school and whatever you call it. Adolescence. Is that what you call it? I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So write down every one of your teachers. Okay. Beth knows Dr. Katz. That's awesome. Beth, if you don't sell him Cutco, my gosh. Okay. Sell him Cutco for sure. Okay. High school teachers, you know, I'm going here. They're even easier. You've got them on social media already, probably half of them. And if you don't, you should. And by the way, they will accept you in 5 seconds, like not even a thought. One of my old students friended me on Facebook. I'm in. I love them. And you got to do this in 8 days. You don't want to wait till the night before the push. You got to do this. And managers, you need to make sure they're doing this. Is everyone with me on that? Like, you need to be following up with your manager daily for the next 8 days of how many you actually have in your app. And daily, if you added 5 to 10 names with numbers every day for the next 8 days, that's 80 more names for you to call. Many of you have 100, but you don't have 200, right? So you got to get to 200. Okay. High school teachers. I'm trying to go fast here. Next thing, lawyers. Every lawyer that you know or your mom knows. Some of your moms are lawyers. Okay. Your mom, who's a lawyer, knows 5 judges, 10 or 20 other lawyers, and 5 to 10, if not more, paralegals. Paralegals are awesome because that's like their job, like if they're like an example, my stepmom was a paralegal. My dad was a lawyer. They eventually got married. You guys understand that? But a lot of times, there's a paralegal who's just, or a dental assistant, right? A dental assistant is like, in many cases, a mom who like works while their kids are at school. So she has disposable income. Her husband does whatever he does, but you could easily sell to a dental assistant, a paralegal, if that's the, exact situation, whether they're male or female. You get in the analogy. Is everyone with me on that? Like a lot of working moms, if that's the traditional style of a family, a lot of working moms have disposable income and they just happen to work. And if you know a lawyer, they know 5 paralegals who are working moms whose husband have a job also, and they make a good amount of money and they obviously eat food and feed their family. Right. So lawyers, put down every lawyer, put down your ex's parents specifically by name. Every ex-girlfriend's mom, every ex-boyfriend's mom. I'm telling you, it's a gold mine. Don't. I'm talking ex-husbands' moms and ex-wives' moms. They buy Cutco. You think I've done this 7,000 representatives that I haven't had ex-wives' moms or ex-husbands' moms that buy Cutco? You laugh, but when you collect a paycheck from your ex-mother-in-law, it's awesome. Okay. So it's really amazing. Okay. So, in all seriousness, guys, write these down. Don't be just talking. If you're just talking, you're missing the point of the exercise. All right. So write down, what am I saying? Write down the subject and then write the name of your coaches now. Every coach, DECA coach, vocal coach, FBLA coach, whatever you want to call it, debate coach, your soccer coaches. There's like 14 soccer coaches. I know you've all had 14 soccer coaches, right? I'm talking soccer coach when you were in 3rd grade and you were the orange ostriches or whatever your little, Dimpledale jersey said, right? Okay,
Pandas.
so good, put them down, your panda coach. Okay, every one of your coaches, if you failed at track, write down every track coach. There's like 7 track coaches, right? You guys know that football coaches, there's not one, there's literally 8 coaches, right? And the football team, if you played football for 10 minutes, you had 8 coaches. Okay. Boy, oh boy, I want to go ahead. PE teachers. Guys, PE teachers, they actually make bank because they teach PE for like 30 years because like not even hard. Like there's like whatever. It's not even history. It's not even English. They're literally just shuffling you around. Like go run. Okay. Like that's all they do. And they collect fat paychecks, right? Write them down. And again, obviously PE teachers is one of your high school teachers, but you should have written down every single one. Some of you aren't writing and you're missing out right now. So take the time to do the exercise. Next one, insurance agents. So if you don't know who that is, your mom does. She takes insurance from somebody. And in many cases, and I'm not kidding, in many, many, many cases, the insurance agent is just whoever is a friend of mine that sells insurance, they are now my insurance agent. So your mom knows your insurance agent's like social security number or like their home phone number, not like their office phone number. They know their real phone number, right? So like insurance agents in many cases, 90% of my professional life or owning a home, having kids, and having insurance, my insurance agent has been whoever I know that sells insurance right now. I switch to them immediately. Okay. So trust me, that's how moms and dads do business. So your mom and dad could easily get you not just life insurance, it's car insurance, it's health insurance, it's homeowners insurance. They actually sometimes are combined, obviously, but also they have 3 or 4 insurance agents. And your mom and dad can get you that person's name and number in a second. And your insurance agent knows your social security number. They know more about you than you. You don't even know your social security number, and your insurance agent knows your social security number. So you can get a demo with an insurance agent in 5 seconds. By the way, dentists, who do dentists know? They know every single one of their hygienists who have a home and a bunch of kids, and they work for their dentist, right? So your dentist is an amazing source of not only demos or a demo, but it's a whole bunch of referrals. A dentist will refer you to like everyone in their office. A lawyer will refer to everyone in their office. Okay. Agreed? Yeah. Right. For sure. Orthodontists, duh. Right. Orthodontists, of course and by the way, they will refer you to a whole bunch of dentists. They will refer you to a whole bunch of orthodontists as well. Okay. By the way, how do you maybe sell some business gifts? How about to your dentist who has 10 employees that could all use an extra spatula spreader with their company or their, dentist office logo on the spatula spreader? Okay, I'm placing an order like that for sure in the next couple of weeks. Okay, probably during the push. Okay, so orthodontists. Okay, I've already got stuff made. I already gave them a prototype of what their thing's going to look like. Okay. That's me going ahead of the game, right? Optometrists. One of you has an eye doctor appointment literally today. Someone in the Salt Lake City office. Okay. So your optometrist, by the way, is there a bunch of assistants that work there that fix people's glasses? Yeah. And do they all have a job? Yeah. And do they all have kids and a family? Probably. And if you're not writing right now, you're missing out. Okay. Physical therapist. How many of you know someone that is a physical therapist or you've had physical therapy? If you are a former physical therapy patient, I'm telling you, you call that physical therapist, they'll be like, I'm down. We'll do a demo. And if you're worried about what if they say no, awesome. What's the worst thing that happens if you call them? What do they say? They say no. Well, guess what's happening if you never call them? Same thing. So when you get 200 names and 300 names of people to call, you're going to get more no's. I don't care about that, right? And you shouldn't either, right? If your life is wrapped around some emotion of getting told no, good luck at life. Like literally, good luck at life. Because you're not going to get the loan, you're not going to get the business, you're not going to get the company you want to buy, you're not going to get the date, you're not going to get the whatever for the rest of your life. When you ask your kids to do something, they say no, and you're going to wallow in despair because your kid says you won't clean a room. Okay. Therapists. How many of you have therapists? And you don't have to raise your hand, but like, you know that there's people, okay, that's fine too, if you do raise your hand. But my point is, you know, that there's maybe 1, 2, 3 different types of therapists too, right? It's not just like the one or today's therapist, but you've had 3 or 4 maybe in the past, or someone that you went to a family session or some other, you just know someone's a therapist, whether you're taking or have therapy or not, right? They're great people, okay? They have jobs and they eat food. Photographers, who's shots, whatever you want to call it. Who photographed your sister's wedding? Right? I've got 2, both of them that take our family pictures. We like rotate back and forth, you know, and they both are middle-aged married homeowners. And the mom just is a photographer while their dad does, the husband does whatever. And like, they have a full-on business and they have time. Same thing with cosmetologists, hairstylists, right? Who's got their little chair at home in the basement with the mirror, right? And they have like a little at-home salon, or who do you know that like rents a chair at a salon and they do your mom's hair? So your mom's hair, by the way, what's an average dye cut and color, ladies?
50.
You're smoking something.
More than
Okay,
that?
what's an average dye cut color? 150 to 250 bucks,
Oh, it's
easy,
your hair?
right? At home person's 100, 200 bucks, but in a salon, they're 250 for a dye cut color. Okay. The last time I got a dye cut and color was in my dreams. Okay. So the next thing is dental hygienist. Already covered it, but you should write it down. Got to go fast here. When Quentin's ready, you want to go grab Trina, grab Quentin. Okay.
Have a break in between.
Yeah.
Fill up water.
He's going to talk for 20 and then we're going to have a break. Okay. So dental hygienists, cosmetologists, I already covered that. Personal trainers, not just a PT, that, you know, physical therapist, but a personal trainer who, you know, that like literally goes to the gym and teaches people how to go to the gym. Those are awesome because they have the flexiblest schedule. Okay. They have the most flexible schedules of anyone. Now you start writing down every single kid you graduated from high school with. I know you have them on Snapchat. I know you have them on Insta. And I'm telling you, what's the question, Isaac? It's literally, hey, I got a question for your parents.
Oh,
Could I get your mom's number real quick? If you sent that to 300 kids you went to high school with, either graduated with or went to high school with, smaller high schools, okay? You literally be like, hey, I got a question for your parents. Could I get your mom's number? Here's what I'll tell you. 50% of those kids would just give you their mom's number without even a question. 25% will be like, F you, what are you asking me for? I don't care about the 25%. And the other 25% are like, what's the question? Oh, I got a new job. I just have a favor to ask. Oh, here you go. You literally get 75% of the moms of anyone you went to high school with, literally with that 1-2 sentence question. I got a quick question for your parents. Could I get their number? Can I get your mom's number? That's it. Now, don't say I have a question for your mom, because then they'll think it's a your mom joke. Okay. But you say I have a question for your parents. Could I get your mom's number? Okay. And that way it's not coming across as a your mom joke. Okay. By the way, church, you used to go to church. You do go to church. You used to go to a different church. You used to go to a different congregation. You get that congregation and the current congregation or any other church affiliations that you have, even if you don't even have the same church anymore. I'm telling you, they would love to see you. They would love to see you. Call him or find him because he's speaking right now. Okay. So don't just wait. Please figure it out. Okay. Thanks. All right. I'm trying to be tight on time. Acquaintances from your college classes. Acquaintances from your college classes. Group projects. Every one of you has 5 group project groups. There's either a group chat or there's like an old group chat in your phone. Like it was already that, like you literally could be like biology and then there's your 5 numbers, right? Text every single one of your biology group projects from 3 years ago and just be like, hey, I have a quick question for your parents. Can I get their number? I have a quick question for your parents. Can I get their number? Not in a group. Don't message the group. You message each person individually. Does everyone get that?
Yeah.
Right. But you message the entire football team or the entire soccer team or the entire orchestra, the entire school play group. There's some Snapchat group, isn't there? Right? There's some Instagram or some social media, WhatsApp or GroupMe. You message each one of the people in each one of your group conversations, group me's. Guys, we have a Salt Lake City group me. Don't do this. But the funny thing is there's 30 people that every one of you could individually message and ask for their mom's number, and then they'll laugh at you. Don't do that. Waste time in the group me, in the WhatsApp. Don't do that. But you guys see what I'm saying? Like there's a WhatsApp for your history class. There's a WhatsApp for your science class, right? Start doing that, but you have to do that in the next 8 days. And if you get 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, let's say there's 10 of them, and you get like 5 of them, crushed it. You guys understand? It's not about the ones you don't get. I don't give a crap about those, right? I want to procure the names and numbers, right? Friends from summer camps. There's probably group me's and WhatsApps from there. See, now I'm not in the HM3 land, am I? Am I? These last 3 things. Okay. What's Quentin saying to me? Oh, he's on Zoom. Oh, that was Noah that walked in. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, Noah walked in. There's a silhouette. Whenever I look out there, there's always a bright light. What's up, Quentin? All right, sorry, man. Thanks for being patient with me. Okay, all right. Counselors from some. I hope Quentin maybe shoots in a couple stories, maybe 1 or 2 of one of these categories. Okay. All right, for time's sake, we're gonna come back to this list. So maybe leave space in your notes and turn to a new page. That's probably what you should do right now. Turn to a new page of notes, okay? And I'm super fired up about our next speaker, okay? I didn't even spotlight me. No co-host spotlight me this entire time. All right, fine, whatever. Okay, we're spotlighting Q. And Q, are you gonna wanna screen share or anything?
No.
No, you're good? Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen. How about that? Okay. And that will keep you spotlit for everybody. And guys, I'm super fired up about our speaker here, okay? Quentin is such an amazing leader. What I really love about Quentin, he is from the Dirty 630. It's the area code in Chicago where he's from. I'm from the 847. We both grew up in Chicago. We have similar stories where we sold Cutco. There was a mission in there and they were selling Cutco. But yours was all after the mission. Is that right, Quentin?
Yeah.
All your stuff was after, and he sold Cutco out in my neck of the woods. And then he became a leader, an assistant manager, a TLA member, and then he ran the number 16 branch in the entire company last summer. And at the end of the summer, many of you know this, when you're a branch, you finish running your office and you get 13 weeks. Now, what's 52 weeks divided by 13? It's a fourth of a year. So you have 13 out of 52 weeks of the year when you're a branch manager, no matter what your branch office sells, if you're number 16 in the nation like Quentin, or if no matter what happens, like it's like a guaranteed profit center for branching, is that you get 13 weeks, all of July, August, and September, sell Cutco at 50% straight. 50% straight means there's no bonus check. You know how you have the bonus checks, Hudson, and some of you that know bonus checks, Bucky, and some of you are getting bonus checks next week. But my point is, you don't have to worry about bonus. You sell a slicer and you get paid half of that this week. You sell $5,000, you get $2,500. This week we had Sarah sell like 30-some hundred or 2,800, and she would be making $1,400 straight half. Okay, but it was the last week of June. But that's okay. She's still making a lot of money. But the point is, she's got big goals. Patrick has huge goals. Today is actually the first day that branch managers get to make 50% commission straight. So a year from now, people that run a branch next summer and have the opportunity to win the trip to wherever we're going. This year it's Madrid, but next year we don't know yet till October where we're going. But when you run a branch, it's this amazing experience. I got to, I got to buy Quentin a dinner in Ireland the other last March, and also got to hang out with him at a lot of different cool places. I think we went to the Guinness factory. I know you were doing a lot of stuff with Chicago people, but anyway, Quentin is just a leader in so many ways. Career sales. What's your career sales now?
395,000.
395,000. So probably this week before July starts, he's probably at 400K. And on his set, already won 7 scholarships while in school at BYU. He's going pre-law right now. So he's got aspirations outside of Cutco, but still took advantage of the vector opportunity and the sales rep, obviously paying for college and branch manager to build that resume and lead people last summer. He's got 15-20 minutes we're going to do on the push period mindset. You've had 2 20K pushes.
Yep.
Am I right? 2 20. How many guys would like to learn how to sell 20K in 17 days? So he's going to teach you guys the push period mindset. And it's not like I kind of sort of, it went well, like this is like, he knows exactly what to do. So I want you to think about it that way. And then we're going to take a quick bathroom break. And then he's going to teach you about the mindset of selling ultimate sets and bigger orders of, Cutco, right? Just the knives, not the cookware, not the flatware as much. He's going to talk specifically about selling big knife sets. So thank you so much. Let's give Quentin, he's in Chicago. So let's give him a round of applause for joining us, and super fired up for you to be here. Quentin, have at it.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Super excited to be here for you guys. These push preps are just super, super important for getting ready for your push. And one of the biggest reasons why is because these are what are going to help build up your commitment account. And I'm going to be talking about that a little bit here today, because pushing is so fun. I love pushes. I love talking about pushes. They just do so much good for you and for your business, but they're also not easy. Right? They're going to be hard. So we're going to talk about what to expect when you go through that as well. I just want to start off with why I am qualified to give this talk. I don't think Phil knows this. I actually just finished the best week of my career on Saturday, day of my career. And so this past week I had an $11,000 week and I wasn't even pushing. Okay. So I just want to talk about, I've had 2 $20,000 pushes from SC2. In summer of 2021, I had a $23,000 push. I did just over 50 appointments and I did a 4-day event during that push. This past summer, I did a $20,000 push while I was a branch manager running a team that was also pushing, and I was answering phone calls and running team meetings and champs clubs and alliance meetings. And still had a $20,000 push on over 54 appointments and an event that I worked during the push as well. Okay, so pushes, there are just so much opportunity, and it's one of those things that you want to make the decision to go all in, because you do not want to finish the push, go to SC2, see all these other people getting push rocks and awards, and you not be the one who's up on stage. Okay, what I do know is that out of all of you, when you set your push goal, 1/3 of you are going to hit your goal. And the difference between the people who do hit their goal and the people who don't hit their goal is going to be the level of commitment that you have towards the actions to create the results. Okay, our business, if you went to SC1, you heard this. If you didn't go to SC1, this might be the first time. Our business, and write this down, is 80% psychology and 20% tactical. Okay, it's 80% psychology and 20% tactical. Okay, what does that mean? A lot of people think that the best sales reps are the people who are the best at sales. Okay, that's not necessarily true. Okay, one thing that I mentioned at SC1 is that my Cutco superpower is my work ethic. Okay, I will put in the work necessary to hit what goal that I set. I will outwork you. Okay. I'm not necessarily that great of a sales rep. Okay. But in this business, 80% of it is psychology, because you got to be able to master those emotions when you do have the no sales, right? The highs are really high, the lows are really low. So you got to be able to learn, like, how can I bounce back when I'm hitting adversity? And pushes are awesome because they give you this controlled environment to be able to learn exactly how to do that. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about the benefits of pushing. Okay, the first thing is, and feel free to write these down because there are just so many. I love talking about pushes for this reason, is that you're conditioned to know the value of hard work, and you're conditioned to know what it feels like to really work hard. Okay, some of you, maybe some of you went after a really big goal during your fast start. Okay, I know we've had some 10K pushes in the division or some 10K fast starts. Maybe some of you set a big goal during your fast start and halfway through it got tough and you didn't quite follow through. Your push is your opportunity to recommit yourself to a bigger goal and say, hey, now's the time to do it. Okay, so you're going to get conditioned to know what it really means to like put all of yourself into a goal for 17 days. Okay, another benefit is better communication skills. Like, how many of you want to be able to have better communication skills with, the people around you, right? Feel comfortable in any social situation. Your push is going to develop those communication skills and put them to the limit. Better closing. Okay, how many of you want to close more orders? At the end of the day, in order to be able to close better, you can go to all the champs clubs and team meetings that you want, but if you don't do a demo, it's not going to make a difference, right? So a push gives you an opportunity in real time to learn new skills at a much quicker rate, apply them very quickly, and repeat the process over and over and over. Okay, you're going to get better at closing. You're going to be more confident by the end of your push because it's like a master class on how to sell Cutco for 17 days. Another super big benefit, and one of the reasons I love pushing, is the wave that you ride after a push. See, once you go into a push, you're getting recommendations like crazy. You come out super confident. Okay, you have this like Cutco high at the end of the push. You've just made like thousands of dollars in, a shorter amount of time. For some of you, more money than you've ever made in your entire life during those 17 days, right? And then the rest of the summer, you just have tons of leads. And come August, it's super easy to sell Cutco. Okay. Greater capacity to handle adversity. Okay. I'll just tell you right now, no matter what you do, I don't care if you sell Cutco for the rest of your life, if you go on to do something else, no matter what you do, it's going to be hard. Okay. Rule number 1, write this down. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. And that's okay. Because here's the thing, life happens for you, not to you. There's things that you can learn in every single situation and every single experience. And so your push is an opportunity to learn how you can handle adversity. And so when things get hard, when you go into another job and, things get tough, you know how to respond to it, right? You're not going to let that like overtake you and just give up. Okay. A push is an opportunity to build that capacity to handle adversity. Okay, some of us want to go through life lifting styrofoam weights, right? But imagine if you went to the gym and you lifted styrofoam weights every single day. Nothing would happen, okay? And so being able to learn how to lift the real weights of life, you're going to have adversity. And so every demo is an opportunity to learn. And the push is an opportunity to prove to yourself what you're capable of, okay? Another big, benefit of pushing, you can make a lot of money. Right? That just goes without saying. If you're at 30% and you have a $10,000 push, you're making $3,000 in 17 days, right? For a lot of you, that's probably more money than you've ever made before, right? And you might even go after you might go after a 20K push. I've had 2 20K pushes at this point, right? And if you're at 30%, you're making $6,000. If you started at nothing, bare minimum, you're making $2,000 if you sell 10K. Right? So the income opportunity is just huge. Sorry, Siri. The income opportunity is just huge. And you get to be the decider of like how much you want to go after during those 17 days. And then the last benefit that I'll just say here is it gives yourself an opportunity to be considered for management. Okay. Now, some of you might be thinking like, I just started this job a week ago, or I just started 2 weeks ago. Like, thinking about being an assistant manager or a manager someday wasn't not even on my radar, and that's totally fine. But what I do want to tell you is what you want to do is put yourself in a position of choice. Because if you are a person who goes out and has a really big push, it at least puts that opportunity on the table for you. And then down the road, if that opportunity is something you want to go after or you want to take, you can either say yes or no at that point, right? But put yourself in a position of choice with your push. So how do we prepare for a push? Okay, the first thing, and write this down, is make a list of 50 reasons why. Okay, 50 reasons why you want to hit your goal. I was just going through and I found both of my last 2 50 reasons whys. Like I literally grabbed an 8.5 by 11 white sheet of paper. I took some markers and I wrote at the top like 50 reasons why I want to sell $20,000 from July 13th to 31st or whatever the push was 2 years ago, right? And I wrote numbered 1 through 50, and you should write, as many whys that it's going to be challenging to write that many whys. Because if you can get really, really nitty gritty, and if you can look at that every single day of your push, if you can look at that right after you just had a no sale, if you can look at that, starting each morning and just be thinking about what your vision is for the reasons why that, you have this compelling vision for why you want to go after something, right? Nothing's going to stop you. Because if those whys are strong enough, write this down. When the why is strong enough, the how will reveal itself. Okay, when the why is strong enough, the how will reveal itself. And that's true for anything in life, right? Mom and dad are never waking up in the morning thinking like, I'm just so tired. I didn't have any sleep last night. Can we just take a pause and like getting breakfast on the table for the kids today, right? They have a strong why. That's not an option for them. They have standards. And so that's almost the same mindset that you got to have for yourself when you go through a push, right? Like you have a standard, you're going to make this many phone calls each day. You have a standard, that you've committed to this many demos. Okay. And you should sit down with your manager to have a push PC to talk about how many demos that's going to take to hit your goal. That might be committing to, 40 demos to do $10,000. It might be more. Okay. You'll have to look at your averages and figure that out with your manager. Right. Last summer, Lindley McCutcheon, who was another branch manager in Chicago division, she committed to 80 demos and she committed 81 demos in 17 days. Okay. Do you think Lindley had a bad push? Right. Even if she had a bunch of no sales. Okay. And whether she did or she didn't, there's just no way that if you're committing to doing that many demos that you're going to have a bad push. Okay. So have a list of 50 reasons why, because I doubt Lindley would have been able to accomplish 80 demos in 17 days if she didn't have compelling reasons for why she wanted to do that. And I would break it down to the ridiculous. Like I would write down, like, I'm going to reward myself with a nice suit if I hit my goal, right? I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to impress this person. I'm going to take this person out to dinner. I'm going to learn how to be an excellent closer. I'm going to be the best rep in my office. I'm going to be the best assistant manager in the division. Right? Really break down every single reason that you can think of for why you would want to commit to doing that many demos and hitting your goal. Okay. Another really important thing for your preparation is make sure you have 200 names and numbers to call. Okay. And these can be people, you guys, that like, it's okay if you haven't spoken to them in years, right? I called my 8th grade language arts teacher who I hadn't spoken to in 6 years. Cause I went through 4 years of high school, went on a mission for a year and a half. And then, it was my second summer. So it was really like 6.5 years that I hadn't even spoken to this person, right? Gave her a call, did a demo. She got a signature builder set, 1,200 CPO order. Okay. If I hadn't called her and sold to her, someone else would have. So don't be afraid. Your push, like I said, this is an opportunity to see what you're capable of in 17 days. Don't be afraid to call those people on your chicken list and have as many names and numbers to call as you possibly can, because you're going to be thanking yourself during your push when you have those names and numbers to call. You don't want to be spending any time during your push trying to dig up more names and numbers. Okay, that's a recipe for not having a successful push. Okay, another thing, let everyone know what you're going to be doing. Okay, like tell mom and dad, like, hey, I'm going to be working a little bit extra hard, during these next 17 days. Tell your friends, like, I might be a little bit less available, right? Because I'm working and I'm absolutely committed to hitting this goal. Okay, they'll understand. If your parents know that you're working super hard, they're gonna be like, well, geez, right? This job is teaching you how to be conditioned to do hard work. Okay, let people know what you're going to be doing. And the other thing about that is when you commit yourself to a goal and you let everyone know around you about your goal as well, the universe will conspire in your favor to help you hit your goal. Okay, those people around you are going to, they're going to be on the eye out for other ways that they can help you hit your goal as well. Okay. Now, one thing that I always like to do, right? Because pushes are not easy. You're going to have, and write this down, you're going to have 5 really good days. You're going to have 5 character building days, right? So 5 tougher days, and that's okay. You're going to have 5 wild card days. And then the last 2 is a toss up. Okay. Make peace with that. So that means when you're going through your push, if you have one of those character building days or you have a tough day, you should be excited because you just got one out of the way. Okay, your best demos always come after your worst demos. Your best days come after your worst days. And so as long as you stay committed to making the phone calls and you're impatient with yourself on doing the actions that create the results while being patient with the results themselves. Okay, let me just say that one more time. Be impatient with yourself to do the actions that create the results, meaning phone calls, and be patient with the results themselves, meaning the CPO, right? You're going to hit your goal. Okay. So when you have those character building days, just accept it, make peace with it. There's something called the 5-minute rule that you can practice. And I always think about this when I'm going through a push. The 5-minute rule basically says, once something bad has happened, you have 5 minutes to be mad about it, to moan, complain, right? Like let all the negative emotions out. But at the end of 5 minutes, you can't change it. Okay. And so you can actually do this, right? If you're doing a push where you drive around and do appointments, that's awesome. That's how both of my last 2 pushes were, plus, you know, a few virtual demos in there. If you're doing a push where you're just doing virtual demos, great, right? But as soon as you get out of the house or you hop off Zoom, if you had a no sale or if you had something that didn't go your way, you've got 5 minutes, right? Pull out your phone, set a timer, say 5 minutes. I can be mad about this. After that, I'm moving on. I can't change it. Okay. And it's okay to do that. You might even find that after you've done that a few times, you might be like 2 minutes in and say, why do I still need to be negative about this? If I already know at the end, I'm just going to say I can't change it. Right. But the 5-minute rule says, don't dwell on all those, you know, all the things that went wrong. Okay. Make peace with it. Because at the end of the day, no fatigue, write this down, no fatigue is felt on the day of victory. No fatigue is felt on the day of victory. When you get up on the stage at SC2 and you've got the whole world like screaming and just cheering you on because you just had a $20,000 push, you feel bulletproof. And you're not even going to be thinking about all of that, you know, the hard demos that came out, right? Because you know that you put in the work and you know that you stayed committed to your goal. So you have to build what's called a commitment account. My first division manager, Greg Strine, would always tell me this. You need to build a commitment account, right? This is your level of commitment to your goal, right? And so doing all this prep work for your push and continuing to do demos, by the way, like when you're building your names list, don't just stop doing demos the week before the push, right? That'll actually put you in a worse case for going into your push because then you're just hoarding those names, right? Whereas you can make some sales before your push, you know, get some paychecks during the first week of the push, get recommendations from those people that you do demos with the week before your push. And that's going to build momentum for you going into the rest of your push. So don't stop doing demos, right? You might build your 200 names list and be like, I'm just saving these top 10 people for my push. Don't do that. Call them before your push, do those demos, and then get more really good people because, you know, like people stick together. If they were a really good money person, then they're going to recommend you to really good money people. So continue to do demos before your push starts. Worst case scenario during your push is you don't hit your goal. And you know what? Is that such a bad situation? You've just learned, you know, you've learned a bunch. You got better at closing. You built more confidence. you made a bunch more money, probably more than you thought you would, right? Maybe you're a person who doesn't even need the money right now. Maybe you're like, I'm set, like, everything's paid for school. I don't need it. Well, you should still push anyway, and then donate that money to charity. Because there's so many other benefits than the money itself. Okay. One tip that I always give is to have a miracle mantra or something that you can remind yourself throughout your push of your level of commitment. Okay. And so last summer, what I did is I wrote down this mantra and I basically said, I am absolutely committed to doing everything in my power to hit 55 appointments or 50 appointments until the very last minute. There's no other option. And I also said, and sell $20,000. Okay. But if you continually remind yourself before and after every appointment, like, I am absolutely committed to doing everything in my power to do this until the very last moment, there's no other option, right? You're just going to keep reminding yourself of the faith that you have in you being able to hit your goal. Okay. So have some kind of miracle mantra, some kind of affirmation that you can just remind yourself of your commitment daily throughout your push. And just so you know, like, pushing doesn't mean that, you give up the rest of your life for 17 days, right? For some people, pushing means 4 demos a day. For some people, it means 6 demos a day. For some people, that it's more than that, right? But you've got to sit down with your manager and have that conversation about what you are committed to. Maybe you have another job, and so you can't quite go in on like a full push, right? But you better have something that you're committed to doing during those 17 days. Okay, during my first 7 weeks with Cutco, I was working another 40-hour job full-time at Amazon, right? And so I wasn't able to do like a full push like I was able to the last 2 summers. Okay, and so it might look different for you, but you better have something that you've worked out with your manager that you are committed to doing. Okay, so that number might be different for every person. But if you want to go after a really big push, what I don't want you to do is say like, oh, I'll just see how the first few days go, and then I'll determine what I want to do after that. Okay, Lindley McCutcheon had a $26,000 push during SC2 her first summer. Her first 4 days of the push, just so you know, she did 17 appointments, she set 17 appointments, she completed 13, she sold on 4 of them, and was at 700 CPO after 4 days. How do you think Lindley was feeling? Did she think that she was going to have a $26,000 push after those first 4 days? Right? With that many cancellations, that many no sales, and a small average order, it's just like the trifecta of like, that's hard mentally. Right? But Lindley was absolutely committed to doing the actions. She wasn't thinking about results. Okay, if Lindley had said like, I'm just going to see how these first few days go and let that determine what my goal is for the push, she would not have hit her goal. In fact, she blew her goal out of the water, right? She didn't initially think she was going to do 26,000. But if you stay committed to doing the actions, making those phone calls every day, and the amount of demos that you want to have in your schedule, you're going to hit your goal. Okay, and that's pretty much what I got for pushes. So
that's awesome. Give him a round of applause. Amazing. Do you have some, I know we got to take a break in 2 seconds, but do you have stats, Quentin, like how many demos either Lindley or you, because you both sold 25 grand in the pushes?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Any questions real quick while he's pulling that up? Because I'd like to get some numbers just for knowledge sake, I guess you could say. Anybody have a question? Yeah, Isaac, go ahead. Dunlap, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Quentin, or go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, hey, Quentin. I guess my question is for you in your week, what were your hardest days and how do you remember dealing with them?
How did you deal with the tough days that you said you had?
Yeah, so I remember like last summer during the push, I had a great first day. I sold like $4,200 the very first day of the push. I had 7 appointments booked that day and sold 4,200, right? Like I was feeling pretty good after that day. And then the next 3 days sucked, right? So I had a 4-day event that I was working, like it was a county fair that I was working, and it started like in the afternoon, went the rest of the day. And so I was just getting in like 1 or 2 appointments, whatever I had a time for before the event. And I just remember those appointments themselves did not go great. And then I had 2.5 days that got rained out at the event. And it was like just standing at a booth, like with nobody there because it was raining. And then water was like, raining on all my Cutco that I'd set up and like coming through the canopy. And it was just not a fun time. And so after that, like I was just feeling very demotivated. But I knew, I just kept reminding myself of that miracle mantra. I just said, like, you know what, no matter what, I am absolutely committed to giving it all I can to sell $20,000 in 17 days until the very last minute. There's no other option, right? It just wasn't even an option for me to be phased about what was happening because I was going to give it my all. So I just kept reminding myself of that commitment.
Awesome. Hey, I would like to say, and I'm going to guess that I know the answer to this, Quentin. Were you talking to your manager a lot?
Yeah. I remember my first push. The first day of my first SC2 push, I sold 3,600 that first day. I had 7 appointments lined up that day as well. And I was calling Greg before and after every single appointment. So, and by the way, at that point, I'd already sold like $75,000 worth of Cutco, and I was still calling Greg. So I was in touch with Greg a lot.
Okay.
And then between appointments, so I was doing a push, and I have the stats here. So during that first push, I did 54 appointments. I placed 60 orders. And of those 54 appointments, 5 of them were live in-person demos. 8 of them were virtual demos. I did 41 service calls where I went and sharpened someone's knives and then showed them Cutco. And then I did 1 4-day long event. I sold 23,373. At the event itself, I worked for 4 days and only sold 1,700 at the event. Okay. So the event was not like a crazy, like, awesome event. I gave a lot of 4 days worth of time to sell 1,700 at the booth.
Yeah. And I know you got a lot of, you get customers acquisition for future business and future customers, but 4 days, a quarter of his push was $400 average per day. Wow. And whether you do, how many of you guys feel like you could do demos and sell a lot more than that, right? Which usually Quentin did. In other words, that was a discouraging 4 days for him, but like Lindley was committed the whole way. The miracle push. Oh my gosh. Okay. The miracle equation, we'll talk about it later today, but it's unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort until the very last moment, right? It's unwavering faith, extraordinary effort until the very last moment. And that's when the miracles, they say, happen. Okay. Awesome. Hey, let's take 5 minutes. Hey, everybody, we have an entire, 30 some people here, 40. I need you to remind me to unpause the recording and start recording again when we come back. Okay. So I'm going to pause recording, and I'm going to do this because, again, we were 3 minutes behind. I wanted to keep it to 5 minutes. I know some of you're like, I can't go to the bathroom that fast. Well, we'll talk about that when you get older. But anyway, the real quick, I'm going to hog 2 minutes, 3-4 minutes, Quentin, from from you to your mentor. So Tara Michelli is in the house right now. So I'm going to get her up here. I'm going to spotlight her too. So some of you, of course, you're at the team meeting every single week, and let me add spotlight. Okay. You're at the team meeting every single week, and we see the strings. You guys know $1,000 string, $2,000 string, 4,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the guru of all strings in the region, she, I don't know the exact numbers. You'll see it at the meeting tomorrow, but she just hit 100 weeks in a row over 5K. Does that mean in every single week for the last 100 weeks? Since you guys were, some of you juniors or sophomores in high school, literally for the last 100 weeks in a row, she's sold no less than $5,000. How many total clients do you have?
between 9 and 10,000.
9 and 10,000 clients. Okay, so that's called longevity, right? I remember, it's funny enough, we're about the same age. You have how many grandkids?
I'm sure I'm older.
I have 3. You're like older by like
I have
a
8
few
grandkids.
months. Yeah. So 8 grandkids. I have 3. And so Tara is a legend in Cutco. Now career sales.
3.6-ish.
Yeah. When you sell 100 weeks over 5K, you grow that, it's quite a bit of cash, right? Quite a bit. It's a few $1 million, right? Pretty quick. And you've had big $30,000+ weeks and everything like that. But again, 100 weeks in a row over $5,000, you're something like 4 years at least over 1,000. There it is. Oh, there's current. Yeah, last week she was 232. So what is that? That's 4.5 years over a grand, and 127 weeks over 2 and 3 grand. So she's, a year and a half over 2 and 3 grand. And this week is officially 100 weeks in a row over $5,000. So even though we're talking about push periods, give us your quick money tip on selling big orders. And just because we're going to get into that subject. And then what's your biggest money tip on consistency on selling that much Cutco week after week after week after week? And I'll move the mic over here for
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Money tip on selling big orders. Just keep asking. Keep making sure that I'm all in for my clients getting what they need, not what I need them to need, but I am the expert. So they don't really know what they need until I teach them what they need. So the more familiar you are with your products, with what they do, how to incorporate that into what they need, and what they have or what they don't have, that's just going to keep adding to their order. So, and making sure that you're mentioning every package, every program, every time, which means, what do we offer? We offer knives, we offer flatware. I mean, we're like the kitchen company, right?
Ooh,
so, and then, the premier kitchen company. We've been around for 74 years now. We used to just be known as a knife company, right? But now we have everything. So everything that is Cutco that can be in their kitchen should be. And that's the way I tell them, that's my job, to make sure that they enjoy the Cutco kitchen, whether that's everything all at once or over time. So, and then it's making sure that we ask what weddings they have coming up. Graduations, Pizza Cutter's best graduation gift. It's not sharp and you can engrave the kid's name and their year. I'm all about personalizing and engraving, giving a gift like that, making sure that you're mentioning all of those different things just adds on to the order. And the more they buy, the better deal we give. So.
Do you get CPO on engravings?
No.
But
I'm 14 and a half years in, so mine isn't for that quick sale. Mine is for longevity. That's how I've made this a career. So I make sure that my clients are getting what they need. So best wedding gift, to personalize it for the bride and groom, giving it at a bridal shower, making sure that we're setting up registries so that they can send that out for both bridal showers and weddings, double dip. Yeah. All the different gifting occasions. I've even done wellness mats for baby showers.
Nice.
Mama's got to be down on the bathtub. And
If you're not familiar with the wellness mats or the cookware and all the stuff, that there's opportunities to acquire or continually sell and market to previous customers. That's why sometimes reps will have a 50 demo push, sell 30 to 40 orders on their demos, and then sell 10 or 20 extra orders. Oftentimes you'll have more orders than you had demos in the push when you get reorders from your previous customers. By the way, Tara was a previous assistant manager, sales manager, pilot sales manager. So she was the division office manager in Spokane way back in the 2000s. George Bush was president. So anyway, and then also actually previous to that, maybe almost, not quite. And then her husband was a former district manager in Ogden, Utah, and was my assistant manager and sales manager as well. And they have an awesome family. They live up in Spokane. So they're in the Northern Rockies office. So one of the top offices in the region. And last year, what did you sell total?
$652.
$652,000. So you cut that in half. That's her revenue for last year, over 300. Plus, she has some mentor work that she does with reps who pay her to coach her. So we have 4 people: Quentin, Noah, She said, "Oh, Quentin's in the same spot he was at 7 a.m. this morning." Okay, because he had a call with
He
Tara.
hasn't moved.
And so Tara, Noah, Faith, and Sarah Crook, the branch manager in Salt Lake East, they all are mentees of Tara's. So they're investing their energy, their time, and their money in coaching with Tara to learn all the goods. So that's one of the things you can do when you're one of those top reps in the company. So
I
comment
was
real
just
quick.
gonna say, remember that we sell well over 250 products. So there's a product for everyone and there's price points for everyone. So even if you sell a weeder, those are in the $30 price range.
Mhm.
Cutting boards are $30.
Right.
Like everybody can afford Cutco. And then I'm a huge proponent of payment options. I promote them to everyone because Cutco's philosophy is that everyone in America gets to own high quality and not break the budget.
Nice.
So I've sold them to college students, one knife at a time, old people on fixed incomes, one knife at a time. I don't care how you get it. You just got to get it. I want Cutco in every kitchen.
That's awesome.
So, and as far as consistency, I think that was your other question. I just work. That's my answer. I just work.
Darn it.
Actually, Quentin knows this. He's looking at me and laughing. He's like, "That's not all you do." So Tuesdays are my favorite day of the week. I know for a
Did you
long
come to the Salt Lake City office?
that's it. That was
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
New favorite reason.
Yeah.
No, a lot of people will say Friday's their favorite day, right? Because payday, or Monday's their favorite day because they can wrap up the week. Tuesday's my favorite day because my mission was at first this is how I started my strings.
Mm.
How fast can I get to 1,000 on Tuesday?
Nice.
Yeah.
That was
Good
like my
tip.
game in my head. I stopped looking at everybody else's numbers, stopped looking at competing with anybody else. I compete with myself, but $1,000, how fast can I get that?
Sweet.
And now on Tuesdays, it's how fast can I get to 5K?
5. Yeah.
Because I don't want to break my string. So yeah. And if I don't hit it by Monday, I'm working until I do. So yesterday I played a lot. Last week I went to a concert, I went and ran a half marathon, did some things. And so I was at little like 400 shy yesterday morning when I woke up of $5,000. I was like, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so made some calls, shot some texts out, worked the business as much as I possibly could, finished at like 5,300, but I
Nice.
was like, snap, there we go. So that's just kind of my thing on Tuesdays. How fast can I get there? Because here's the thing, if you set $1,000 on Tuesday, how fast can I get there? The rest of the week, you're going to enjoy what you do a lot more.
Ooh,
and people want to buy from people that are enjoying what they're doing, not high pressure, pushy salespeople, right?
Cool.
And that's what we get to be when we're desperate and we haven't hit what we wanted to hit. Then we become desperate and really want to push that on people. And that's not what people want. So have fun with it, get to your sales as fast as you can, and then you'll enjoy, and it's just stacked on and added. And then you're getting a bigger paycheck and you're really liking what you do.
Oh, that was awesome. Let's give her hands. Amazing, amazing. So thanks for coming. It's so good to see you. Okay. Oh my gosh, we know each other for 20 something years now. It's so
Has
cool.
it been that long?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Crazy.
Well, it's been great.
Okay.
You were 10?
Yes, I was 5 years old. We
Wow.
met. Yeah. So I said we're the same age. Thanks, Tara. By the way, what a great it's actually looking ahead 14 days, 15, 16 days from now, and 20 some odd days from now. Because if you're needy or greedy, you're not going to have a good push. Do you hear that? If you're needy or greedy because you're focused on your goal or focused on your needs, and you're not the fact is you're thinking about who. Why do salespeople get a bad rep? Because they're always needy or greedy. That's the stereotypical bad reason. But if you're in like so wrapped up in your goal and stressfully thinking about the push, how many of you guys remember in training Jesse saying something along the lines of be committed to the process and detached from the emotional, emotionally attached from the result. Now you better be emotionally attached to the result of your push as a whole. But if you do the right things, which is the names list, you commit to the 50 demos and, stuff that Quentin said, psychology, you're not inside your head thinking about you, you're outside of your head thinking about who? The customer. You're thinking about what are you doing to help them benefit for the rest of their life. And then you're enjoying your job, like Tara just said, you're enjoying your job. People want to buy from you when you're enjoying helping them versus you're stressed out about your goal, right? So while this will be the biggest and most important 17 days of your professional working career ever, And the hardest 17 days and the biggest and hardest thing you'll ever do in your professional career up until that point, the cool if evolution of what you're going to do is the way that happens is that you do the work, you do the preparation, and you do the work during the 17 days, and then focus on helping every single customer buy the most amount of Cutco that they will benefit from, that they will feel comfortable getting today for the rest of their lives. And it will involve cookware, it will involve flatware, it will involve wellness mats, and then you know what? It's going to involve ultimate sets. Okay, so I got to come right back to Quentin, and we got 20 something minutes or so. All right, Quentin. So thank you so much for, again, continuing you gave us the push period tips. Now you're going to give us like the sales tips that will help boost the CPOs in each of your orders, specifically surrounding the knives. Okay. So I'm going to go and bring Quentin back, and thank you so much, Quentin. You're unmute still, but you can unmute now. Okay. There we go. Here we go.
All right. All right. Awesome. Okay, so we talked a lot of the psychology part, and 80% of this business is psychology. Let's talk about some of the tactical, because it is there too. Okay, we're going to talk about selling ultimates and selling bigger knife sets. Okay, some of you have never sold an ultimate before, and that's okay, right? And by the way, you can have a fantastic push without selling ultimates, right? But if you know how to sell an ultimate, or you know how to sell the pieces that are in an ultimate, okay, it's an easy way to upgrade your average order. Like Tara just said, if you know your product, you can be able to sell it. So we're going to talk a little bit about like just some of those tips and how you can actually sell those pieces that come in the ultimate that don't come in the homemaker. But one thing Tara said is super, super important. And I hope if you didn't write it down, make sure you write it down now. Show the customer every package, every program, every time. Okay, every package, every program, every time. That means if you're showing them the homemaker and then you're done with your demo, you're doing it wrong. Okay, make sure that you are showing them that we have flatware, that we have cookware, that we have gadgets and accessories and gifts. Okay, if they're a business owner, they can give gifts to their clients, to their employees, right? Like, what other gift can you give that's going to outlive them, right? That's going to get used and loved every single day forever. So show the customer everything, because they might have a different budget for cookware than they have for knives. So show them everything. That also means showing them all the pieces in the ultimate. So in the ultimate, compared to the homemaker, there are 9 more knives. Okay, you'll probably want to write this down, okay, because you want to be the expert on the ultimate as you're going through your demo. There are 9 more knives, 4 more table knives or steak knives, okay, for a total of 12 steak knives or table knives across the front, and the shears. And then instead of just getting 1 medium cutting board, they get 3 free cutting boards with it. So a medium, a small, medium, and large, and a sharpener. Homemaker comes with a medium cutting board and a sharpener. So with the ultimate, you get 2 more. Okay. Now, ways of positioning, the way that you frame and position the ultimate matters. Okay. If you look at the homemaker price and you look at the difference between the retail value of the homemaker and the actual price that we sell it for, it's like $17.68 or $17.98 or something like that. If you pieced it all out piece by piece, right? You can do that in the app if you hit set breakdown. But we sell the homemaker for $15.49. So they're saving over $200 when they get the homemaker, right? And that's awesome. Cutco is like Costco. The more you get, the more you save. Write that line down. Cutco is like Costco. The more you get, the more you save. Okay. Here's what's different. The homemaker, you're saving a little over $200. The ultimate, you're saving over $700. So piece for piece, the ultimate gets you the most bang for your buck. And so here's a line that you want to use. Okay, Mrs. Jones, if this is not going to break your bank and you know you like it and you know you want it, it just makes sense because you'll never have to do it again. Okay, Mrs. Jones, if it's not, Cutco is one of those things where if it's not going to break the bank and you know you like it and you know you want it, it just makes sense because you'll never have to do it ever again. Okay. When people have complete sets of things, think about how their experience is different than when they have just one piece. Okay. If you're like a gamer, think about how your experience is different when you buy just one game than when you buy the whole gaming console package, right? Or, some of you out there probably are the types like build your own gaming computer, right? Or if you're someone who's like into makeup, think about the experience, how that experience is different for you when you get like just one, I don't know anything about makeup, but one item, right? Compared to getting the whole package. Totally different experience, right? And so when Cutco owners have the whole complete set, and I encourage you to call it that, the ultimate is the complete set and the signature is the family set. Okay, so never again in front of your customers, unless, they bring it up, call the ultimate the complete set and the signature the family set. And the reason why is because someone might hear the word ultimate and think, well, I'm not an ultimate type of chef, right? I'm not a signature type of cook at home, right? But if it's the complete set, it's the complete package. There are lots of people out there who, might only cook once or twice a week, but they like to have the complete of everything. Because think about it. How many of you have a toolbox in your garage at home that your parents maybe use once a month, right? But they don't have a toolbox that's just one screwdriver. The ultimate is the toolbox for the kitchen. Okay, so it's a complete set. So you want to make sure that you have the right tools for the right job. So let's go into those individual pieces and how to position them and sell them. Okay, my first tip that I'll tell you is don't oversell the homemaker pieces. Okay, don't oversell the homemaker pieces. Get really excited about the ultimate pieces. I sold an ultimate with steak knives this Saturday. And one of the keys that I used was that I really sold them on what pieces are coming in the ultimate that don't come in the homemaker. So in the homemaker, you have a 2 3/4 inch paring knife. In the ultimate, we add in one more paring knife. And so I would say, hey, Mrs. Jones, we actually had customers who wrote us. Okay, by the way, you'll want to kind of write these things down so you can script this, so you can be ready for your demos. We had customers who wrote us and said that this paring knife, it's a little short sometimes. So we came out with a longer paring knife that's 4 inches long and long enough to get through a full apple or a potato on the cutting board. Doesn't that just make sense? Right? So we had customers who wrote us and said this paring knife's a little short. So we came out with a longer one that's long enough to get through a full apple or a potato on the cutting board, right? My mom, and then tell stories. My mom has both paring knives and she loves the 4 inch one more because it gives her just a little bit more length in the air. Okay. Another knife that we have in this set, Mrs. Jones, is our boning knife. And what's awesome about the boning knife is it's a super thin straight edge. Okay, this is your raw meats knife. Okay, now in our number one most sold knife is the trimmer, right? We've sold more of that knife than any other since 1949, and it's amazing. But notice, Mrs. Jones, our double D edge is sharp in between the points. So if you're cutting raw meat with the trimmer, you have to saw back and forth. With the boning knife, it's just one thin, super sharp straight edge. That's actually what we were mentioned on Modern Marvels for, was how sharp our straight edges are. So you can trim the fat off of your raw meat way easier. And you won't have to saw back and forth like you will with a trimmer. Because just so you know, Mrs. Jones, that homemaker set doesn't have any raw meats knives. If you want to get the raw meats knives, you should get the ultimate. It's got a boning knife and it's got our salmon knife.
You get a boning knife for going to SC2.
There you go. Okay. The salmon knife. Oh, by the way, totally forgot. Write this down. There's a video that you can incorporate into your demo that will help you sell more signatures and ultimates. Okay. Right. It's called Cutco Customer Requested Pieces. Okay. It's about 2.5 minutes long. It's on YouTube. Okay. Cutco Customer Requested Pieces. And all you have to do in your demo, if you're doing a virtual demo or if you're doing an in-person demo, you can show this video. Okay, if you're doing a virtual demo, you just go through the slides like normal. Okay, and you get to the point where, you know, you've just finished showing all the homemaker pieces. You just want to have one tab open in your browser that has that Cutco customer requested pieces video in it, and just say, hey, Mrs. Jones, I have one more video for you. I just want to show you all the best pieces that we make that don't come in our basic set.
Is it Brian Carter?
I think so.
Okay, I got it.
Starts with a cheese knife.
Oh, it's a playlist. It's a playlist.
It's just one video,
Oh, okay, I'll look for it. All right.
4 or 5 knives in it. Cutco customer requested pieces. Starts with the cheese knife, and then it shows the petite santoku, and then the hearty slicer, petite santoku, the salmon knife, and the vegetable knife. So show that video, and then you can show them, you know, those other awesome pieces in action. So for example, it'll show you a video of the salmon knife used to cut a watermelon. The best knife, the butcher knife works great on a watermelon. The best knife for a watermelon is the salmon knife because it's really thin. There's zero friction and you can flex it to get right around the rind of a melon. Okay. And you can ask Mrs. Jones, like, Mrs. Jones, don't you think you would get more watermelon if you had the right tool for it? Because sometimes you'll ask people when you're building cooking rapport, you'll ask them like, hey, Mrs. Jones, how often are you doing watermelon? How often are you doing tough squashes? And if that's not it.
Okay, I'll find it.
Okay. And they might tell you like, we don't do it very often, right? They may not be doing it very often simply because they don't have the right tools. Lots of people will avoid those hard, tough foods simply because they don't have the right knives. So ask the question during cooking rapport, hey, Mrs. Jones, like, do you ever cut watermelon, pineapple, sweet potato, or squash? Watermelon, pineapple, sweet potato, or squash? Okay, do you ever cut watermelon, pineapple, sweet potato, or squash? If they say yes to that question, they should be getting a signature in Ultimate. Because what is the best tool for sweet potatoes? It's the Hardy Slicer. Okay, the Hardy Slicer, Mrs. Jones, is like a trimmer on steroids. It's 3 times the thickness, and it's got the weight to get through tough, heavy-duty things. So your sweet potatoes, your frozen chicken that hasn't thawed out in the morning, sausage, salami, things coming off the grill. Okay, so Hardy Slicer for sweet potatoes, sausage, salami, frozen chicken, things coming off the grill. I always tell Mrs. Jones, hey, Mrs. Jones, this is your toolbox for the kitchen. Paring knives and chopping knives are kind of like screwdrivers. You got to have different shapes and sizes. In the homemaker, you only get 1 paring knife and 1 chopping knife. In the Ultimate, you get 3 chopping knives and 2 paring knives. Okay, in the homemaker, you get 1 paring knife, 1 chopping knife. In the Ultimate, you get 3 chopping knives, 2 paring knives. And that vegetable knife is the only chopping knife that we make where you can grab both ends. Okay, that's the key. Like you literally just need that one line to sell the vegetable knife. Mrs. Jones, the vegetable knife is the only chopping knife that we make where you can grab both ends. Because then if you're doing something like a tough squash, you can get your weight over the top of it, go straight down through the squash and not waste anything. Okay. And then, by the way, they don't have to be completely sold on every single item in the Ultimate, because remember, they're saving over $700. They might tell you, oh, we're not going to use that cleaver very much, but we use everything else. Well, guess what? If you took the cleaver out, they'd still be saving more money than they would in the signature set. Okay. And by the way, if you took the cleaver out, the price would go up. So it just makes sense to do it as a package. Okay, so the idea is selling them the package of something that's complete. You're always going to have the right tool for the right job. And it's the only set you'll never get bored with. Okay, if you're not writing these down, I'm giving you the lines to use that are going to help explain the ultimate. You're always going to have the right tool for the right job, and it's the only set that you'll never get bored with. By the way, if they say no to the ultimate, they say that's too much today, you get a price objection, or they're like, they're not going to use that many pieces, no big deal. We're here to get the customer what they need, not what we need them to need. So you just drop down. But guess what? They might have fallen in love, even if they just fallen in love with the boning knife and the salmon knife and the paring knife. You can drop down to the signature and get them those 3 pieces with the set. And so you can actually, say, hey, Mrs. Jones, no big deal. Would you use any of those pieces that come in the ultimate that don't come in the signature? Right? And if they say, yeah, we would totally use that boning knife and the salmon knife, awesome. Well, let me show you this. This next set is a few less knives for a lot less money. And it's still going to have that cheese knife and the hearty slicer and the petite santoku and the shears are 4 most requested pieces. But we could also just bundle that with your salmon knife and your boning knife that you wanted. And then I'll sell them the salmon knife and the boning knife with the signature set full price, and then give them, a couple gadgets or a few gadgets for free. Right. And if you want, you can bonus the salmon knife and the boning knife with it as well. Right. You get to make your own package, help your customer get what they want. But notice, if I sell them a signature set with a boning knife and a salmon knife, they're getting the payment per month is going to be a lot lower than it is for the ultimate. Okay, one more thing I'll just say is really sell people on the steak knives. Okay, there should be a picture in your demo that shows the table knife and the steak knife. Okay, tell people like, hey, Mrs. Jones, so these table knives we've had since 1949. And they're awesome. They cut like steak knives, as you can see from the leather demo, right? You've got a video of it cutting leather. These steak knives cut just like that, but they feel like what you're used to when you go to a restaurant. Okay, the steak knives cut just like that, but they feel like what you're used to when you go to a restaurant. And so let people know, like, most people like the steak knives more. When people go to the store to look for steak knives, they don't usually look for something the size of our table knife, right? People love our table knives because they'll cut like the steak knife, right? But a lot of people love the steak knives because they're the size that they're used to. And so sell people on why it makes sense to get the steak knives. Because guess what? The ultimate and the signature are the 2 sets, the only 2 sets that come with the steak knives. Can we sell the steak knives with the homemaker? We can, but it's not going to fit in the block and they've got to keep them separate, right? And if you don't know how to do that, just call your manager. There is a way. Okay, but they won't go in the block. So if you can get someone sold on the steak knives, they only have 2 options. It's a signature and an ultimate. Okay, last little tidbit I'll give you is if someone already has Cutco, because you're not always going to see someone who doesn't own Cutco, but if someone already owns Cutco, if they have a set at home or a few pieces, we can do for them what's called an upgrade. And we basically just say, hey, Mrs. Jones, our most popular program right now is our upgrade program. All we do
Guys, this is something you write down for sure. Our most popular program. Go ahead and say that again.
Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Jones, our most popular program is our upgrade program. Our most popular program is our upgrade program. All we do is you keep what you already have, and we fill in what's missing to get you to our complete set. All we do is you keep what you already have, and we fill in what's missing to get you to our complete set. And you guys, people love this because otherwise, think about it. If someone buys Cutco years and years and years, like if they buy the ultimate set over 10 years, but they get it 3 pieces at a time, think about how much more money they will spend in the long run than if they just do it all at once. Because just, inflation affects us, right? Our prices go up. Cutco has not always been the price it is now. Prices continue to go up. So if they continue to buy piece by piece their ultimate set, they're going to spend 2 to 4 times more in the long run than just getting it all done at once. So what does the upgrade mean? All you have to do, here's the information you need to know. Number 1, you need to know what they have. Okay, number 1, you need to know what they have. So you need to find out what pieces they own. If they have a homemaker, that's easy. You know exactly what they have. If they have a galley, that's easy, right? Some people have, pieced out collections. So you have to just find out what are all the items they already have. And then number 2 is you just fill in what's missing to create the ultimate. All you have to do, and by the way, you can do this yourself or you can call your manager. Your manager knows how to do it. But in order to do it in the app, you just go to the ultimate, add the ultimate to your cart. Okay, make sure you write this down. Add the ultimate to your cart, hit set breakdown. It's going to break the set apart into individual pieces. Remove all the pieces that they already have from the list, and then make a deal. Okay, so you might bonus a couple knives, or you might add in some free gadgets. Okay, so if I find out they have a homemaker, I'm going to go to my cart, add an ultimate set, hit set breakdown, delete all the pieces that are already in the homemaker. So I'm going to go paring knife, trimmer, spatula spreader, petite carver, all those pieces. I'm just going to remove them from the cart. Now what's left is their upgrade, and I'll just make a deal out of that. Okay, and I'll typically bonus like a knife or 2. And if, maybe they really want it, but they just need a lower price, you've got some wiggle room to bonus if necessary. Okay, but that's essentially what an upgrade is. And so let people know who are Cutco owners that that's an option. We can upgrade you to the ultimate set. We can upgrade you to a signature set, right? If they have a galley plus 6 and they're like, we don't want everything in the ultimate, but we do like the size of the signature. You can add a signature to your cart, set breakdown, delete all the items that are in the galley set. Now you've got a signature upgrade. Essentially, they get a new block. They get all the pieces they're missing. Everything they already owns goes into the new block. Okay, so hopefully that helps with selling bigger sets and packages.
Dude, bro, Quentin, thank you so much. Really quickly, I'll mention something, and that is for sure when it comes to when they already have like 1 or 2 knives. Quentin knows this. We all teach you this in day 3 of training. When they have like 2 knives, it's still savings to buy the homemaker because it's $180 off or whatever it is. And that's less, and then they could gift the extra trimmer, gift the extra spatula spreader, or have 2, which we have 7 spatula spreaders in my kitchen, right? And 5 trimmers, and 3 or 4 paring knives. So it's like people like having doubles of their favorites. So they have a couple knives, don't do the set breakdown, just tell them to buy the set because they're saving more than they would if we broke it apart, right? And so that's on stuff like that. But when they like have a galley or have a homemaker and you're upgrading to an ultimate, that's what you do. And that's just working the cart. Right? That's just working the cart. That was really excellent. 1 or 2 minutes, questions for Quentin, the 7-time scholarship winner, 2 times $25,000 push period achiever. Any last 1 or 2 questions from any of you?
How much do you pay to train me?
Yeah. How much do you charge? In other words, how much can Isaac pay you to train him? When he's like, oh, I'm paying Tara. Maybe I should start, working some of that myself.
Reach out to me, Isaac.
reach out. There you go. Awesome. Any questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds here. We've got a guest speaker that logged on a couple minutes early. Yeah, Tyler, go ahead. Tyler Wilson.
My wife, I was kind of shot for like half of what you were saying, so I missed part of it. But you mentioned selling people on the steak knives, and like, what was the phrase? I don't remember the phrasing you used to kind of say like, hey, here's why the steak knives are better. Could you repeat that for me?
Yeah, I think what I said was that he, Mrs. Jones. So our table knives, have been around since 1949. People wrote us saying that these don't feel like steak
That's
knives.
great.
And so we came out with a larger steak knife. Because it's more what you're used to when you go to a steakhouse or a restaurant. That's really the biggest selling point. It's more what you're used to when you go to a restaurant or a steakhouse. They cut exactly the same. You can tell them that, right?
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones, it's the same exact edge. They're both equally sharp.
I will change one thing on that. The steak knives have the hollow grind and the table knives actually don't. They have a saber grind, which means they technically, when you cut the leather with a steak knife, which set up a contest with your manager and win a steak knife. I have a few. And but it's like the trimmer has that non-shiny part. If you cut the leather with the trimmer, it's ever so slightly better on the leather than the table knife. Of course, both destroy whatever whatever crappy knives they have. But having that hollow grind on each side of the steak knife slightly blows their mind a little bit more versus the non-shiny part. This is all shiny, right? You see how it's all shiny. Pass it, quick. Okay, I've got a guest speaker he's at the, ready to rock. See how there's the not shiny and then so this part right here is ground to be concave, right? That's the hollow grind. So each side of every Cutco knife, except for like the spatula spreader and the cleaver, they have that not shiny part, which is ground on the side, which reduces the coefficient of friction. All of you physics majors, okay, that makes it slightly better when you cut anything, let alone the leather that melts their brain and everything like that. Okay, so nope, you didn't behave. Okay, so all right, for time's sake, I'm gonna keep moving. Maybe I'll give it to you. All right, hey, let's give Quentin one more round of applause, dude, bro. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much. And while I work on our I'm gonna work on our in-office camera that's not functioning right now, Matt Drinkon. But I do, and if you're wanting to stay on, Quentin, we've got a guest speaker, my personal professional coach, Mr. Matt Drinkon. He is a part of the Front Row Dads organization that he and I and a few other Cutco gurus, as well as Western or region managers and things and company executives are a part of, and former national sales promotion manager John Vroman, who started the Front Row Foundation and also the Front Row Dads, and also a legend in the Cutco business and a good friend of mine. And Hal Elrod is a part of the Front Row Dads. John Berghoff, who I told the story of earlier, are also part of the Front Row Dads. So Matt Drinkon is a tremendous friend of mine, and until last May was my roommate for the last 3 years at every Front Row Dads retreat. But his old division manager called him and was like, I want to be your roommate for the retreat. So I got to room with somebody else. But Matt Drinkon, super amazing friend and gentleman he was a former sales rep, former district manager in our company. And he is here today to speak to us on the value of pushing. So if you go back to that table analogy, right? The one-legged table, not very stable, but 36 legs, 56 legs, the more legs on your table really helps you push yourself through and be motivated. And you don't need motivation when you have commitment, right? And those whys are your commitment, aren't they? Right? Those whys are your commitment. And so what's cool about Matt is he has 3 daughters, a wonderful wife named Julie, and 10, 6, and what are the ages? I'm trying to remember now.
They are 8, 6, and 4.
Yeah, 8, 6, and 4. So 3 daughters. And his wife named Julie, and he is a former district manager and was a district manager in the early 2000s as well. So he was there along the time when those stories that I've told you, some of those stories today. And he's got some thoughts on, because he coaches executives, business owners, and CEOs from across the country in really large corporations. He just got done facilitating a 3-day event in Washington, D.C. With the I forget Phil Stutz's organization's name. Oh well, That's okay. But you know, he facilitates events and also you know, coaches, executives across the country. And we procured him to speak to you guys on really why push and what's the value long term, like 30-year value of shaping your summer with the push period in the next, you know, few weeks here. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to hand the time over to Coach Matthew Drinkon, everybody. Let's give him a round of applause for joining us from North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Long distance here.
I appreciate, because I got everyone on gallery view. I appreciate what Beth just did right there. She went like this. I really, that was super cool. Thank you for the round of applause. I thought I was going to show up, and if I show up, you just gave me free Cutco. This is a speech. You want me to talk about something? A push? Okay. Well, we'll give it our best. Phil is very gracious in letting me room with him. I just wanted to get to a place where when I go to these events that I go to, I can come back to the room and sleep. And Phil, because he's got like 14,000 kids and like 7 grand. I mean, he's got a lot of kids. He goes straight to sleep, so I get to sleep. So that was good. So team, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here with you today. I won't take much time. The time that I do have with you, I would encourage you to keep your antennas up, because this push stuff, I am a living example of this. I'm going to give you some stories today about how this has transcended time for me. My first push with Cutco, my first and only push as a sales rep, was in the summer of 1998. I went into my SC2 push. I'd been in the business. My first training launched May 24th of 1998. I did a total of, my CPO when I first got started. In my fast start, I did not get the peeler in my fast start. Let's just say that. It might have been a slow start. And of course, after I went 0 for 13, yes, that's 0 for 13. No sales in my first 13 appointments. In fact, I trained over 2,500 people how to sell millions of dollars of Cutco, and no one that I ever trained went 0 for 13. I was the worst representative in the history of my own organization.
Who trained you?
Yeah, some Yahoo trained me, who's a dear friend to this day. But in any event, I went into that 0 for 13, fast start push period, and then I went on field training, and it changed everything for me, because I memorized scripts really well, because I'm a really good nerd, but I wasn't good at people. Right, I wasn't good at people, so I went on field training, learned how to be a little bit better at asking questions and reading people rather than just memorizing a script. In any event, ended up going into my SC2 push in week number 7, number 8 with Cutco, and I had a little bit over 10,000 in sales. And my goal for the push was to do 25,000 in sales. And as it turned out, I didn't get anywhere near that, and I still had the best week, and I had my first comma check of my life after that. And if you know what that is, the comma checks when you have 4 numbers left to the decimal. That was super cool from someone who's used to making $5.50 an hour, doing that before I found this job with Cutco, and waiting tables. So those are the things I did before Cutco, was waiting tables, bartending, and cutting grass and physical labor. So in 1998, I had my first SC2 push, and my district manager, or my branch manager at the time, Bowen, we were actually the #1 office in the whole company at that time, just like I believe this team is, or this Salt Lake is, and our division is as well. And so I had a great people to learn from. And he said to me that, Matt, you practice these skills that we're going to work with you on the push, how to set a goal, about how to check in daily of that goal, how to readjust course if you're ahead or behind, or just see how you're learning, just keep pushing. These skills will last you for a lifetime. And boy, have they ever. Boy, have they ever. That push, I ended up doing 5,500 and change. That was enough to get me on a stage to be able to say hi and give my report. I didn't get a freaking trophy though, man. I missed it by about 2,000 CPO. So that's done. That summer I ended up being an FSM, and then ended up being a branch in a district. And I still use the Cutco lessons to this day. Here's why the push matters. Here's why it matters to your future. I remember clearly that when COVID started to happen in March of 2020, just give you an example, it was here where I live in the state of North Carolina. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, that we had this thing called the stay-at-home order. I imagine you might have heard of something like that. Maybe you had something like that out there in Utah. for me, we had that, and I had a full-time nanny coming to our house every day to nanny our children, and my wife worked full-time downtown in Charlotte. So she couldn't leave the house, my nanny couldn't get here. And actually, at the same time that's happening, I'm afraid, as a executive business coach, I'm afraid that, you know what, I may be out of a job tomorrow. I mean, paying your business coach is not exactly the same as paying your employee and keeping the lights on. So I had a real thought for just a moment before I went into my Cutco mentality that's been trained into me. For just a moment, I had this fear that what happens if I have to go find a job, like a real job, right? Because I don't consider what I do a real job. It's a real pleasure to go to every day, but it's not a grind like some jobs. So what did I do? I put on my push helmet and I really started to push. And here's the way I set it up. I set a target, and the target for me is I really wanted to figure out, how do I double the size of my business and do it in less time that I'm investing in the business right now, right? So I wanted to double the revenue that was coming into my business. I know it's a really crazy goal. I'm just trying to stay alive and keep the business. And I had set this crazy ass goal. I want to double the revenue in the business during all of this. How might I double the revenue in my business and at the same time do it in half the time? Because now I have to take half the time out to parent, right? And I say have to. I get to take half the time out to parent, right? So in half the time, how do I double the size of my company and everything is going crazy out there and people are in pain? How do you do all that at the same time? Well, you go back to your push skills that you learn. And my goal, first thing, was I made a big list. And my list was already made for me. I don't know if it's made for you or not, but my list was made for me. And my list was made for me. I went to LinkedIn. I had 2,400 plus connections. I went to my Instagram account and had like 1,000 people overall. All my accounts were followers. Then I went to Facebook and had like a couple thousand people there. So I had a big list of like 5,000 or 6,000 people. I didn't make it that far. I made it to 938 people that I reached out to in 10 weeks, an average of 93 a week for 10 weeks. 938 reach outs, 257 people responded to me. That led to 54 actual real conversations. 40 of them were not people that were going to buy the ultimate set or people that were going to be my specific clients. 14 of them were ideal clients for the ultimate set or my coaching, right? That's what I call it. I just made that up as we're going along. I'm the ultimate set. You can make some comments, Phil. Thank you for that. Right? Some of you understand the sense of humor. I appreciate you. Thank you, Angelica. I got a courtesy smile from Angelica. Thank you. Right? So those 14 prospects became 4 clients. And the 40 that I handed off to the rest of the coaches in my organization ended up becoming like 15 or 20 clients. So the way it worked out is we got to serve many more clients. And I really pushed during that entire time. And the point of it is that the skills that I learned back in the day in 98 when I was a junior in college, and I knew how to bartend and how to make a drink. I didn't have a whole lot of business skills yet. I didn't really know how to talk to people all that great yet. Now, transcended that through this Cutco experience and through literally the thousands of interviews that I ran when I was a Cutco branch and district manager. And through all those push periods that we orchestrated for all of my own teams and all of my branches and my district teams, I learned the real value of concentrating your effort. When you really want to learn how to concentrate an effort in a worthwhile cause for a short period of time, how do you really push yourself? And you give yourself at Cutco a chance to do it for, what is it now, 2.5 weeks? When I did it, I think it was 19 days for SC2 push in the summer of 98. How do you give yourself that permission to push for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a condensed period of time, and give it all you got? And know that you might not always hit your goal. At the same time, by giving it your best shot, you'll probably go farther than you would have if you didn't. And you'll probably learn things and practice that you cannot learn by thinking you know what you're doing. You can only learn by doing it. So I learned that, and it worked really well. And here are a couple of examples, other examples of how this push mentality has served me and served the people that I serve. I just got off a call with someone who runs an organization that has 2,000 people in it. that one person and the 7 people below them, the leadership team of 8, we literally just spent an hour working on their push strategy for the month of September for their company. Literally, this concept of the push that we practice at the Cutco at the Vector Marketing, I've taken and borrowed it and built on it and bring it to companies now and do this for a living. Right. And our friend that Mr. Bowler just mentioned a minute ago, I facilitated an event in Washington, D.C. last week, for a 7 CEO roundtable organization. We talked about our push week, which is really the push month of August upcoming, and we planned out the push month. These concepts that we learn at Vector Marketing are ones that I've been teaching and utilizing for years. And the scale of the people that are doing this, I'll give you an example. I'm not able to say exactly the names of some of these clients publicly at this time. I do coach the Board of Education in one of the states in this country, and we are using a push week strategy to influence all superintendents and principals in one of the states in our country, right? And being able to take this push, and it's not a push to sell things, it's a push to help everyone get on the same page and aligned for knowledge and for their attitudinal alignment. It can be a push for sales. It can be a push for learning. It can be a push for, in some cases, it can be personal fitness or health. But these skills that you have the opportunity to learn now and to practice now, this is just a microcosm of what is to come. And I say that with a grain of salt because I feel I might be the oldest person in the room other than Phil, who I don't know how old Phil is, but I know he's got I think he's got about 13,000 kids and maybe 50 grandkids. So Phil might be 85 years old. The water's different out there in Salt Lake. In knowing Phil for this period of time, I know that he's seen this and I've seen it in our 40s or 70s, or if the age might be. We see these skills that we got a chance to practice at a young age and they keep multiplying over and over and over again. The skill to be able to keep pushing yourself when you face that first bit of adversity. My first bit of adversity, my first push, I'll be honest with you, team, I had a little call reluctance. I mean, I'm 6'6". I kickboxed when I was in college. I'm not afraid of a glove. I was actually kind of afraid of foam. I don't even know if you set phone appointments up anymore. I assume you do. You make phone jams and set calls up. Okay, thank you. I'm looking at Kirsten now. She's right next to me in the box. So thank you for the courtesy nod. I had phone reluctance at first. And then I saw the guy next to me, Ty, and that guy sold $10,000 in knives, one tremor at a time. What's a tremor nowadays? A tremor was 37 CPO in 1998.
82 now.
Okay. Well,
Matt
he
just
sold
bought. You just bought this week, right? Or 2 weeks ago?
I did buy. I did see the first appointment I've seen since I've been out of Cutco. Someone came to my house and showed me Cutco, all kinds of cool stuff. So in any event, before I get distracted, thank you, Phil, for providing that pleasant distraction. Totally just went off the rails there. Thank you.
You were talking about Ty and the push.
Yeah, he sold $10,000 in tremors. And for me, I thought if that guy can make calls and get appointments, I know I can do it too. And not to poop on Ty or anything, but if he can do it, I can do it. And plus, I have to be really transparent. I had a crush on Melissa. She knows this. We're friends to this day. And I married someone named Julie, who I love dearly. But I had a crush on my assistant manager back in the day. And I didn't want to not make calls, so Melissa would think that I couldn't make calls. I know that may seem silly and whatnot. That's the way I thought back then. So in any event, I had call reluctance. And if they could do it, I knew I could do it too. I just had to keep trying. Just keep trying. So I got up and I kept trying, and it worked out really well. And that was $25,000 in sales my first summer. And then my senior year in college ended up, selling a lot of knives and made about $55,000 in commission, and really was sold on the whole opportunity. And I was in Cutco for 6.5 years before my life path changed with some family tragedies. And I loved every bit of my Cutco experience. The things that I learned about how, when adversity strikes, to keep pushing forward, even when I had a really crappy day. I had to look back and reflect on what I gained from that day. Even when it's a tough day, that may have been probably the best skill that I could take from it. Is when I had a really crappy day, I had to look back and see my support system around me. By the way, that support system for me personally, it wasn't my mom, to be honest with you. She wasn't that supportive of the role. She's still not that supportive of me being executive business coach, even though, I run a 1 7-figure business and a couple others that are the 6 figures. Still not supportive of the entrepreneur route. That's fine. Should have been a stable banker. That's totally fine. My support system was my assistant manager, John and Melissa, who were very affirmative. And then my branch and district manager, Bowen and Larry. They were always very, very positive. So I leaned on my support system. I learned how to struggle and then push through the struggle. That was incredibly helpful. That's helped me a lot in business, team. It's really helped me out a lot in business. I made a note that, I'll be totally transparent again. I was in college at that time. And when I got my first comma check, I was more interested because I just turned 21. I was more interested. I don't know if you guys drink out there or not. My last name is Drink On. And I used that name when I was in college selling Cutco the second half of my first summer. So I went out and had a good time when I got my first comma check. So I maybe didn't spend it as wisely. But I could say that when I did have those good days, if I could do it all again, I don't have regrets. And if I could do 1 or 2 things again, when I had those big days and those big comma checks, I would subscribe to the philosophy of strike while the iron is hot. I didn't do that in my 20s. I had a big day, big sale. I would probably take the next day off and go party or something, to be honest. I realized that when you're at your best and when you're having the best time, your energy is really congruent. That's the time to double down and push harder. That's the time when you can reach the magic that you don't know about until you try it. And those of you who identify with the idea of being overachiever or high performer, I dare you to try that. So I didn't know about that when I was 21 at the time when I started to sell Cutco. I would challenge you to do that. For those of you, if you take the call or take the challenge of another perfectionist, recovering perfectionist overachiever, that was something I didn't know then. That was something I didn't know then. So I'll close with this. I think a good speaker or a good coach is someone that's going to challenge you with an idea and a question. So here's the question, and I would challenge you to come up with questions of your own as well. Here's the question that served me well in my Cutco time, and it serves me well to this day. If I were to double my best week ever in production, who would I need to show up as to make that happen? If I were to double that or give myself the best chance at doubling my production, my best week ever, who would I need to show up as to do that? Right? Or if you're brand new, this is like week number 2, you're like, who is this guy? 25 years of Cutco. Man, I just graduated advanced training. What are you talking about? Fine. Right? If you don't have a lot of experience, that's totally fine. This may be a little bit out there. The thought is this. Think of a time when you're at your very best. So look back, scan the last week, month, year, couple years of your life, and think about a time when you felt when you were at your very, very best, like your most confident, your most self-aware, your most compassionate, your most empathetic, whatever you might say is your very best. Think about that time. And take that feeling and imagine if you were to take that feeling and apply that for an extended period of time, for this push period, if you were to apply the best that you are, the best that you have to offer, that you know right now, if you were to apply that and give it your very best for a focused period of time, we call this push, then what could you discover about yourself and your own potential? And that's out there. And I don't know how many people are in this room right now. Looks like there's 20, 22. If I'm one of them, Phil's one of them, that's 20 other people in the room. 4 of you are going to hear this. And you're going to go out there and absolutely do more than you would have done before because you're going to accept the challenge of yourself. There's probably about 4 of you that are waiting for me to stop speaking or are wondering, what's that? Well, that's my Cutco. That's my Oscar. I won for a gold medal performance in the summer of 2001 as a manager. Thank you. Just want to plug that, Phil. Right. And then some of you are kind of wondering, and there's still some fear, hesitation, because if you push yourself, you might not always get there. And that can be scary. And I realize that. And the quality, or pardon me, the height of your success is going to be capped by your ability to get comfortable or stay away from things that are scary to you. All right. So if there's something that might be fearful, the call reluctance, if that's fearful, or presenting in front of people, there's still some anxiety there, or just making a big statement and challenging yourself to push. If there's any fear there, if you relate to that, I did. And I tried my best to push through it. And things happened that were really good in my life. And I would challenge you, when you face that fear, to call Phil, to call Jesse, to call your assistant manager, your sales manager, Shay, and Bucky, or whoever they might be. I don't know all the leaders in the organization, but that's my feedback and advice to you, team. And I would leave you with this: that you really can achieve anything and everything that you put your mind to, and it all starts with your ability to push one unit at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, one push period at a time. Having shared all that, I'll open it up. Phil, if you want to do Q&A, we can do that. Here's the last plug. You can see my name if you open up the box, or if you see it on speaker, you can see it says Coach Matt Drink on the Eternal Optimist podcast. I would invite you, because I love a shelfless or a shameless self promotion. I would appreciate you very much if you would go to the Eternal Optimist podcast on Apple or Spotify and listen to any of the number of people I've interviewed from Cutco, which would include Dane Espegard is one of the people that comes to mind. And I know Justin Donald was in there. There's probably some more Cutco folks in there, John Vroman, to name a couple. Episode 1 is one of the top 5 sales reps of all time, John Berghoff. So feel free to go in there and listen to some Cutco folks and rate and review it. And that's about it. Thanks so much, team. I'll open it for questions, or Phil, you could take it from there.
Let's give him a hand. First of all, appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for being patient with our technical difficulties for while we were fixing the camera. Questions? Anybody for Matt Drinkon? Selling Cutco? Yeah, Tyler, go.
What's up, Tyler?
First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
I like how expressive you are. That makes me very happy. I thought, I don't know, anyone in Southern Rockies will know that I'm expressive with my hands. So seeing someone else be expressive is great.
Dude, that fires me up, because literally I am as ADD as they come. And underneath the table over here, you don't know what's happening. I'll just share with you what's under the table. I'm squeezing the hell out of my smiley face ball, right? And Bob Ross is here with me everywhere I go. I've always got Bob Ross. So Bob freaking Ross is here, and so is the smiley face. So please, Tyler, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
It's awkward when he's has Bob Ross sticking out of his pocket and walking down the street, but that's another story.
I can tell by the way, well, first of all, from your podcast name, and then also just how you're interacting, that you are in and of yourself an eternal optimist. And my question for you is, even when the going gets hard, like Quentin said, he has his own days where he has it, and then he has his own way to reel himself back in. For you, Matt, what is your biggest thing that helps you say, no, I'm Matt, I can do this. Like, this is what I'm made of, and this is how I know that I can do this.
Great question. And I would say that I pulled this out for a reason. This is always in my pockets everywhere I go, except for when I'm showering. This is always with me. Why? Because I get triggered all the time by stuff that might cause my stuff to come out. And my stuff takes the form of anger, takes the form of frustration. And if I feel myself getting triggered by something, I'm squeezing on this. If I feel myself getting triggered by, let's just say, something out of my control, I'm squeezing on this. I'm putting my energy into something that I know is going to convert back into something positive. This is time tested for me. What does that mean? There was a time, and I'll land the plane if you need me to here, guys. This is going to take about 90 seconds. There was a time in Labor Day of 2015 when the unthinkable happened. I was going down a zip line and it broke. And I went and I fell to the ground and I landed on my tailbone. And it compressed my spine and my vertebrae and it herniated discs. And I got really effed up, man. It was a really tough time. And it led to a 9-month period that left me disabled, in a wheelchair, unable to leave the house. I'm going to leave this room. And the room was totally different in 2015, 8 years ago. Right. And we had our first daughter, we were pregnant with our second child, going to be born in a few months. And I couldn't walk. I couldn't cook. I couldn't get upstairs. I needed help to get to the bathroom. I was in a really, really tough spot. And I'm still coaching people face to face over Zoom. And I'm the positive guy. So no one knows this is happening. By the way, no one knew this, except for really close people. So the point is, how do you pick yourself back up? How do you take a negative situation and turn it on its head and turn it to your advantage? Well, that's the question. How do you do it? I did it when I've been talking this positive game all these years, and then the unthinkable happened. And now I really got to face it, because that was the only real adversity. I mean, my dad died when I was 28. I was emotionally very challenged at that time for a little while. I'm still sad thinking about it. I was depressed for about 6 months, and I was able to, my support system helped me out of that. But when every day, like, this was the real adversity, I'd say, in my life in the last few years, Tyler, is that, I kept asking myself, there's a gift and a blessing. I have a strong faith. There's a gift and a blessing, and God has offered me some opportunity here. I just don't know what it is yet. And damn it, it's hard as hell while I'm in it. And I'm going to look back on this and be grateful for it someday. So, you know what? What can I learn from this right now? And I feel that my mission is to help inspire people they can do it too. So if I'm ever down, I look at the people who have a real reason to say they're down. For me, a little call reluctance. I mean, come on, that's my own stuff. And I'm not mining cobalt as a slave in Africa, right? I'm not living destitute on the street in Skid Row. I'm not addicted to something over here. I don't have those kind of challenges. My challenge, I've always been able to frame it as, this is a unique challenge to me. I can learn from this and use this to inspire others. And damn it, I am going to do that. And I'm modeling something for my kids. I'm modeling something for the people I serve. And basically, I'm a model. I shared all of that to tell you that I am Blue Steel. Thank you. Man, that went way over everyone's head, Phil. No one knows Zoolander at this age bracket. So if you didn't get that joke, then pardon me. Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate the acknowledgement. And Riley got it too. So thank you.
No.
Did that answer the question, or did I go off the rails there, Tyler?
No, that did. I just want to clarify. Would you say that you had to find out what made you tick in order to find out why or how to bring yourself back?
Great question. And I still don't know exactly what makes me tick. I do know what my core values are. They're optimism, gratitude, and self-discipline. Those are the values I live by. And my family is my ultimate, everything I do for my kids, my wife, and selfishly for me. So I'm selfish like that. But as far as what makes me tick, I did not know what exactly made me tick when I started Cutco. And I don't expect that everyone in the room knows exactly what makes you tick. Here's the deal. If you're still trying to figure things out, which guess what? We probably all are. If you are, then what's the best thing you might do for yourself that gives you the best leg up and the best advantage that hedges your bet and prepares you for the next thing? If you don't know what makes you tick, then how might you prepare yourself for when you do know? And at the time right now, if you don't know, you might as well give it your best shot and see if you can discover something that makes you tick. You're not going to know if you're on the bench, overthinking it and being paralysis by analysis guy or girl. Because I've been that place too, right? So that wasn't directed at any person in particular, more at the idea that if you're still looking for this purpose or this why or what makes you tick, then go and try something different and give your best at it and see if that awakens that fire of what makes you tick, right? So I think that's how I'd respond to that one, Tyler.
That's great.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, Tyler, for the question.
welcome.
For time's sake, we got 30 minutes left. So I want to appreciate Matt for jumping on. And, I'm a model also. I sang I'm Too Sexy the song I'm Too Sexy at karaoke the other night. So I'm a model, if you know what I mean. And I do my little turn on the catwalk, everybody. Anyway, Matt, thank you so much for jumping on. I did throw in some common phrases that come up on Matt's and my coaching calls: patience and grace when there's frustration, like patience through stuff, and grace for yourself. Hey, I failed. But if I learn from the experience of failure, phone time, a demo, a no sale, if I learn from it, then it's not a failure, right? It's feedback. I'm figuring crap out in life. And that's what I love about push periods, is that you figure yourself out and you figure out the business and you figure out something that's hard. That's your life's gonna be infinitely harder later in life. Does everyone understand that? Do you think your life's gonna get easier, or is it gonna be harder? Like, will more stuff happen to you in the next 50 years? Probably more, right, than what's happened so far, and certainly more than what's gonna happen in 17 days. But the energy and effort and the oomph that you put into the next month, but obviously the 17-day push, will make you a better human for when all those other things happen. And by the way, that doesn't mean life has to be hard if you understand the failure, the other things that happen are actually part of life, and you're not dissatisfied or unhappy that stuff happens. How many of you guys know people that are happy even though they have a crappy life in your eyes, right? And you can be that person. You can be that person. And that's the other thing I put down is pause, acknowledge. This is answering my answer. My answer from Matt Drinkon to Tyler's question, without the Zoolander and the other stuff, is you pause, you acknowledge what's happening, you squeeze your little squeezy thing, you breathe, and you accept it, and you move forward, right? And what you do with the stimuli you're given, or stimulus you're given, is more the important choice that you make later in life, okay? So yeah, I got a whole bunch of chats privately as well. So one more round of applause for Matt Drinkon, everybody. Okay, thank you so much, Matt, and love you. Talk to you soon, bro.
Thank you. I'll leave with, life does get harder. You know what though? We have the ability to get better, so it doesn't seem as hard because our skills multiply. So it does get harder, and you know what? We get better. It may not seem as hard because we're more equipped. Anyways, that's it. Check out the podcast. Love you all. And if you're interested in seeing the video of Phil and I karaokeing together, singing a song together, if you're interested in that, I will send the video to anyone that does 15K in the push.
I don't even have that.
I have the video. I will send it to anyone that does 15K in the push, and we'll have a fun poke fun at Phil party, lovingly.
Sweet.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt. See ya. All right, excellent. All right, there's a list of whys. All right, whys have a big push. Maybe I'll show you guys the video. Okay, all right. Okay, hey, we got 24 minutes. I got 24 minutes and I really got to rip through this. Let's pull out your names list. I promised you I'd revisit this, and I want to revisit it because I want to give you guys the opportunity, right? I really want to give you guys the opportunity to make sure you do your homework before Wednesday, right? So do not be that guy or girl that's like, oh, my cup runneth over, I can't do anything else here. Let's really dive in. I'm going to give you the rest of the categories, and managers, let's see, Jesse in the group chat, why don't you ask me to send these slides your way, the manager's way, so the managers can regurgitate the slides to you, but don't just say, oh, well, I'll get it later. I want you to write. I want you to write right now. Smoking pen for 7 minutes. How's that? Okay. Church leaders, this goes as far as you want the church leaders to go. In other words, you might have young men's, young women's, church youth pastors, right? Your youth pastors, but also your adult pastor. Like there's two different types of pastors, or, your youth leaders, your bishop, your stake president, your counselors, your ma and pa from Trek, right? Your youth counselor, whatever it might be. Church leaders are absolutely awesome, right? And who do they refer you to? Remember, it's not just a sale. In any demos in the history of not even Cutco, every time an insurance agent does a quote demo, if you call it that for an insurance agent, they are getting referrals, right? You guys understand that? Lawyers are getting referrals. The reason I'm selling Cutco to my orthodontist, because he's got 4 of my kids' mouths and he's done, he's got 2 more coming, right? And I'm selling him Cutco to get him back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm selling him Cutco because I have a good relationship with his entire office. They know me by name walking in. They know my voice almost when I call him. And guys, that like, he's gonna give all of his referring clients, people that refer, Cutco, right? So like, that's a reason why, public officials, who do you know that's involved in, I used to know the mayor of South Jordan, right? Who do you know that's works for the city? Who do you know that works for the city? Because they know a whole bunch of people that work for the city. Who do you know that's running for mayor? There's actually mayoral races happening right now, okay, in different cities, okay? Who do you know that's running for office or has been in office, or they're on the school board? My old stake president was on the school board for Sandy City, right? Financial planners. Who do you know that does financial planning for clients and things like that? They tend to also give business gifts as well as make money and buys for themselves and for their home and for their family. Accountants, right? Accountants are certainly great clients, great customers. Okay, so be writing these things down and then write the name of your mom's accountant. So again, the point is here, you're writing the subject and then you're writing the person who's attached to that, title in your life, right? Who's an accountant? How about people from your mom's work? And I mean this, people that work for your parents, like work for your dad or work for your mom, or work under them. Like, let's say they don't own the business, but they're the manager and they have people that work under them, so to speak. And then maybe your mom's boss, your dad's boss, like people that are above your parents in that company, right? Or that business. Okay. Like if your mom's a teacher, who's her supervisor, who's the guidance counselor, who's the principal of that school? You probably met them. Let's be honest. Okay. People that your parents work with, real estate agents. Guys, real estate agents are super awesome for selling them Cutco for their home. And then secondarily, you can work on selling them Cutco for them to give to all their clients who buy homes. But remember, you all know this from training, you get like one of your own. Like if it's a direct relative and they don't want to buy from Faith, but they don't want to buy from Quentin, but they want to buy from you, you get your one exception to the rule. Otherwise, you refer those orders to the CGCs, closing gift consultants in our division, and then they will cut you in 5% higher than what you normally make. So if you make 25%, you're getting 30 on that sale, right? If you're making 30%, you're making 35 on that sale, obviously up to 50%. Okay, because they don't even make 50, they make 50%. Okay. So, but yeah, you can refer those, but it's still business. It's money in your bank account. How many of you guys take money in your bank account, right? Old babysitters. When you were 10 years ago, you had a teenager that used to babysit you. She's probably married and has kids, or he, right? You guys understand that? Like people that used to babysit you. Or one of my best clients was Connie. Oh man, I can't. Her son's name was Owen, and that's funny. That's my son's name. Okay, but anyway, she used to pay me way too much money to babysit her only child who had every toy on the planet. It was never like babysitting. I'm like, dude, let's play. And this kid was 5, and I was just having fun with all the toys that he had. It was so fired up, and I used to get paid like $1,000. No, I'm just kidding, but a lot of money. And it wasn't even a problem. Like, will you please ask me to babysit more? I'll raise your son for you. Okay, so you used to babysit for people. You should call everyone you used to babysit for and do a demo for them. You know how fired up they would be to see you, let alone buy Cutco from you. And then your babysitter's parents. So let's say your babysitter is only 2 years older than you and she's only 20 and she's not married, or 22 and not married. Well, obviously they're their parents, right? The people that used to babysit you when you were this many, you see their parents, that babysitter's parents. Okay. Another list. Here we go. Guidance counselors from high school, right? All the, and not just yours. So not just the A through G counselor, right? You got to call the H through M counselor, and you got to call the N through T or P or whatever, right? And get all 4 or 5 or 6 guidance counselors. The school attendance lady, she knows you 100%. The school attendance lady knows the name and last name of every, and the parents' names of every kid, 2,000, 3,000 students at that school, right? That lady that sat at that attendance office, she literally knows who's who and what's what. So they are great, and they could refer you to a lot of people. Secretaries, people that you know that are administrative assistants or whatever you want to call them, that work in businesses, right? Again, working moms are awesome because that means there's 2 incomes in their home. and they don't need to see the mom and dad, or you don't need to see the husband and wife necessarily, because she's like, I got a job, I don't even care, right? I'll buy whatever I want to buy, right? And that's true. Whenever mom also works, it's almost always the situation. Okay. Neighbors, if you have not seen, I want you to write down every neighbor. Guys, we live in Utah. Unless you're living like on a geographical, like there's a hill, you literally have 8 next door neighbors. It's a square, right? A lot of you live in Utah and around Utah. And so what? You have 3 front door neighbors, you have next door, and you have 3 back door neighbors, right? So you literally have 8 neighbors. If you haven't shown every one of those 8, you've missed out on demos, you've missed out on sales. A couple of you are like naysaying some of these categories. And I'm telling you, I don't care if you think of 3 more people just by me saying 8 neighbors and you just get 3 more demos, that's 3 more than 0. So if you're not writing right now, you're doing yourself a disservice, okay? People you've met at weddings. People you've met at weddings. Oh, how do you know the groom? How do you know the bride? Blah, blah, blah. And you sit down, you have your little tres leches and a drink, right? Whatever you're eating, right? And you get your little fruit from Costco platter for whatever they have, right? You sat down with people you kind of didn't know, but I bet you could get connected to that person and they would remember you. Hey, you don't remember me, but we met at Chelsea's wedding, right? And they're like, oh yeah, well, yeah, right? Those are great. And by the way, some of you know people that you met and you spent 2 hours with people. It wasn't just like a 5-minute conversation. You literally sat there for 2 hours with them, right? I went to a funeral on Saturday. I met people. They handed me a program because they ran out of programs. And so guess what? I met these people. They gave me a program. I guarantee if I called them for a demo, they would know who I am. And I could ask, hey, who do you know that was sick? I could call someone that was at the funeral. Who was I sitting next to? Okay. So easy peasy. Old boss. Assuming they're not like the shift manager at Taco Bell, right? So as long as they own a home and have kids, your old boss at your old job, right? The manager of the coffee shop you worked at, right? Or the owner of the coffee shop that you worked at, right? Or whatever it might be, okay? Old bosses, okay? Old coworkers' parents. So if you worked fast food, you had 17 coworkers and you could text, because you have all those numbers. Anyone that you've ever switched to with, or switched a shift, right? If you switched a shift, traded shifts, you have their number, you text them and you ask them, hey, I got a question for your parents. Can I get their number? Again, 50% will just give it to you flat out. Yep. 25% will say, no way, I'm never giving my parents private information. Well, whatever, dude, get off your high horse, right? Don't worry about those 25%, because with an extra 1 answer, you probably get 75% of the parents' numbers. That easy. 50% will just give it to you. Okay. Again, whoever's most confident always will influence the other person. So if you're confident in that you're getting their number one way or the other, you will get their numbers really easily. Okay. Cousins, family members. So like you have cousins who have extended family that you're not related to. Does everyone know that? Like this whole, I don't even know how the once removed, second twice removed, stuff like that. But you have like cousins that are distant and they have family members, in-laws and friends, other halves of their family that are not part of your half of your family. Right. So, and now you got to get the numbers. Okay. You got to get the numbers by when? Please tell me you've seen this video. Does everyone know this video? Okay, if you haven't seen this video, okay.
What's that video?
So listen, can I have your number? Okay, so can I have it? Okay, so get those numbers by Wednesday. Get those numbers by Wednesday. I'm gonna really rip through this. For time's sake, you can bribe. You guys know that it's legal. Okay, we're not dealing with government here, so you can literally bribe people to give you numbers. Here's what I will tell you. You can get referrals from a 12-year-old. How many of you have a younger brother or sister who has a cell phone? Raise your hand if you have younger siblings who have cell phones. You literally send them the MyCutco rep link. Guys, listen, I'm talking. Okay. Send your sibling the link. Have them download the phone. There's probably 5 HM3s in every 12-year-old's phone that they could give you 5 to HM3s. And you don't know me, but I was talking to my brother and your name came up. I was talking to my cousin. I was talking to my sister and your name came up. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to do a demo for a 12-year-old. You're not going to get paid for it, but you could get 5 HM3s from every 12-year-old you've ever met. You can bribe them with money. Literally. Tell you what, I'll take you out for a movie. I'll buy you this. I'll buy you that. $20 for 20 names. They're like, done, here, I'll take $20. It's that, like, you know how, what do we say in training? What do you think of $20 as when you're 10 or when you're 12? I don't know who has phones, you know, what age shouldn't have phones. Okay, but you know, some 10-year-olds have phones, right? But the fact is, you'll have HM3s in even a 10 or 12-year-old's phone. I'm not saying you're going to take their phone and do anything with it. I'm saying I bet you they know 5 people that you know. They have the number, you don't. That's the kicker. They have the number, you don't. So you can actually use the technology of the app to get referrals by getting referrals from literally every high school kid, college kid you know. If you sat down with them and say, tell you what, I'll buy you a freaking pair of Jordans. And they take their phone with 300, 400 contacts and they have 20, 30, 40, 50 names of HM3 customers that they're not going to sell to. Why wouldn't you sell to them? I mean, you could go throw down some cash and get some really good referrals. Okay. Obviously get referrals on appointments. Good idea. Okay. Build rapport. There you go. All right. This is it right there. Hey, my sister's name is Katie. Okay. I'm Katie's older brother. And if I called the mom of any kid that knows Katie, I could get referrals from them really easy, and I can get demos as well. Okay. Yearbook. If you haven't gone through your yearbook yet, you guys realize all the people in your yearbook know you, and their parents could care less if you know them or not. I do, like, guys, my kids have gone to school with literally thousands of people. Like, you guys understand that with the number of kids I have, thousands of people. And if any kid from any one of my daughters or sons, for that matter, my sons are younger. If any kid that was from a high school that my daughter went to called me and asked me for a demo, you know, for some product that I, you know, didn't already own. Okay. Like 29 years later. Okay. You guys understand that? Like, I'm going to say, yeah, whatever. You get paid $21. Sounds great. Okay. Friends, again, same thing with your friends. There's people that you hang out with that probably could give you 20, 30 numbers, that the exact numbers you're thinking, I need that person's number. Someone in your direct circle of friends has that number. I hope you're like stimulated right now. Like, I got to do this. And some of you are not going to bother. And it's 8 days from today, you're going to be kicking yourself, because 8 days from today, I'm going to say, get 100 more or get 50 more. And you're going to feel this crushing weight of whatever, right? Versus get 100 to 200 now, between now and Wednesday. And then you're not even going to be thinking that it's going to be hard to make those phone calls. You're gonna be like, I'll book 20 demos. I got more names I've ever had the opportunity to call, and I'm freaking fired up. I'm signed in. I'm ready. I'm dialed in, whatever. Okay. You guys get the idea. Okay. For time's sake, get the numbers. I just got to use that slide right there again. Okay. Get the numbers for sure by Wednesday. Okay. Get the numbers by Wednesday. All right. For time's sake, I'm going to move on to the wrap up. Okay. And there's other tips and other things we're going to teach you. What's up? Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. COVID, flooding, earthquakes, cancer, marriage, divorce, all sorts of things happen in your life. Children, right? All sorts of things happen in your life. Grades, good and bad. All of those things happen, but the progress is what we're after. Overcoming challenge, right? What Matt Drinkon said, all that stuff matters. So next week, a week from today, 1 to 6 p.m., right? We're going to go over flatware. Faith was really, she texted me this morning, the other Faith, and she's like, am I speaking today? I'm like, no. She's like, what? Like, she was like almost offended. And I'm like, next week, I got you for sure. We need you. Okay. It's a week from tomorrow. Yes. Thank you, Patrick. 8 days from today. I don't know what I said, but Wednesday, next week. Cookware. How many of you guys ready to sell some cookware? By the way, if you sell one set of cookware, what does that do to a 15K goal? $2,000-$3,000 order. Are you going to sell? Are you feeling pretty confident when you sell just one set of cookware?
Yeah.
How about two? How did Nick? He sold 8 orders over $1,500, right? Or whatever it was. And like 4 of the 8 were flatware, or even 2 flatware chests, 1 order. I think you had one double flatware chest order. How many of you guys would be fired up selling one of those, right? It's just cookware, flatware, more upgrading skills, more closing skills of getting, what were the other 30 orders? 390. How many guys just want 390, 390, 390, 390, 390? I'll take 390, 390, 390. Oh, I saw the homemaker. Cool. 390, 390, 390. At 20%, you're making $80 an hour. 78. 30%, you're making $120 an hour. Could you handle that? Would you do demos if you're making $120 an hour? Yes. So get to that next pay raise, right? Get to that next pay raise in the next 14 days, right? Before the push starts. Hey, if you have not signed up already for withholdings, I want you to go ahead and text me right now. Say your name and your office and the amount you want saved. Let me explain. I can save 5 to 50% in increments of 5. So say I want to save 25% of my paycheck, Phil. Save 50% of my paycheck. By the way, your manager should be asking you in the next few days to start withholding. Okay, so either you should just be proactive and just send me a text right now and just say, start withholding. I'm down to save money. By the way, the money is yours. It can go to tuition. You're just like, Phil, if I have it, I'm going to spend it on Jordans. But if I don't have it, I want $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 at the end of the summer. That's just sitting there and I can just pay my tuition. Right? Pay my first and last month's rent of my apartment that I'm getting, right? Like, bam, I got $2,000 ready and I'll take it. Or, you know what? You're like, Phil, I made so much cash. I'm going to leave it there. And, you know, company's going to give me $8,000 and I'm going to be a branch manager and I'm winning a trip to New Zealand next summer. By the way, Australia, New Zealand was our trip for COVID. And they canceled it, and New Zealand almost still hasn't opened yet. So who knows if the next trip isn't going to be Madrid, because that's March, but the following March might be Australia, New Zealand. Please don't quote me on that, but you know, the company has said, hey, we're going there at some point, you know, and so that's pretty fired up. Mute yourself if you're on Zoom. But anyway, you know, text me or text your manager and me. Put us in a 3-way text and we can start withholding right away. And I would suggest that you do it before the push. What if you got $200-300 saved before the push, and then you sell $5,000 a week, 10,000 in 2 weeks, or 15,000 in 2.5 weeks, and you know 20, 30, 40% of that's going into savings? That's thousands of dollars. 1 month from today, who would sign up for having thousands of dollars, multiple thousands of dollars in savings? Like, you've got this, and you could say, Mom, I just got my 3 biggest paychecks ever, and I saved that much as well. That would be awesome. Right? Okay. Just remind you, there's rocks, there's swag, there's income, there's the greatest 17 days of your professional career, region recognition, right? There's something that's harder than you've ever done before in your life. There's satisfaction of achievement. There's discovery and self growth, right? Personal growth. And there's that, those are like 7 other reasons. Like if you making your table legs, right? Like there's a bunch of other reasons I just gave you. And if you didn't take a screenshot of the other one earlier, right? I want to point out that you're going to work really hard for 17 days. We've already covered this. There's going to be, what did he say? 5 days this, 5 days hard, 5 days low CPO, 5 days amazing CPO. Like Quentin said that already. I said it in another meeting recently. And there's just going to be what it is. There's going to be ups and downs. We want you to have that. The miracle equation. We're going to cover that more in depth next week, but what is it? I told you already. Unwavering faith, extraordinary effort until the very last moment. There's literally a book called The Miracle Equation, okay, from Hal Elrod. Miracle, what is it? Unwavering faith, extraordinary effort until the very last moment. That's how you get the success you want to have. And you're going to fail in life. And you know what? You want to fail hard in the push. You want to make the mistakes, learn and grow. And you want to persist and do the things that Matt drink on. When you fail, you persist, you succeed, right? It just happens outside of Cutco, outside. It's automatic. It's a for sure thing, right? But when you persist through those things, you know, the zip line, break your back, you're in a wheelchair and you got to decide now or COVID hits and your whole business is now in jeopardy and you decide that, oh, I'm going to double my business in half the time because now I got to be Mr. Mom at home with my kids. That makes sense, right? So later and next Wednesday, we'll talk about the agreement. The agreement is that push period sign sort of contract. I want to show you this, guys. You're going to commit, those of you that decide to go after this, there's going to be a document, and the document is literally a pact with yourself. It's not a legally binding document, which means I think it's more important, right? I think it's more important that when you sign on, so to speak, to the alliance, you sign on with yourself, the most important governing body that you think you should ever, be subject to, is you're signing up to go after something that's really huge. And really huge is funny when 30 days from today, you'll be like, well, that was really huge and now it's over 30 days later. But it's a life-changing experience. That is a microcosm. That's why it's only that 17 days, but it's 30 days from now, right? Those 17 days will be 17 days that I hope that each of you never forget, but that you never regret. Because there's always the pain of regret, right? You guys understand that? Because you coulda, woulda, shoulda done something, and you want to be proud of your effort and your commitment for the 17 days or the 30. Yeah, real quick. Grant. Grant.
I know I'd rather forget it because I did mediocre than regret it because I did awful.
I'd rather have you, I don't care what your results are.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being transparent, but I want to flip that and say, I'd rather have you, unless I missed what you said, I'd rather have you be glad that you went all out, no matter what the results are.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Even if I go all out and I get
something
50%
happens.
sales and only sell 5,000.
Yeah,
I'd much prefer that to not trying hard
right.
and getting no sales.
That's a microcosm for life. Yeah. How many of you guys would take $5,000 CPO anyway right now? You'd be like, straight, great. Okay. I want to just point out 2024 happens. It happens because of the people in this room, and it happens because what we do. And as you guys know from key staff, especially those of you that were there, we're building a division that's nationally contending for championships. Number one office in the company right now, Salt Lake City, Southern Rockies, is 20 grand outside of number 3. 20 grand outside of number 3 right now. And we're building towards 2024, when right now we have 8 offices. We want to have 12 plus just in our division, let alone the rest of the entire region. We're putting offices in Idaho, we're putting offices in Montana. So if you've got an itch to travel and have some fun opportunities, there's opportunities abounding. Okay. So we are looking for people that are going to work hard, that are self-motivated, that go after things, that are nice, fun, driven, learning how to work with people, solve problems, overcome, persist, people that are coachable. I loved Quentin that talked about, he's like, I call my manager all the time, right? And that's coachable. And that means you'll be a great coach when you've been coachable along the way. Okay. Now the region has a call right now. So I'm going to literally kind of finish up and say, these are the 10 assignments, or not the 10 assignments, the last couple things. Just remember, I got to set this up differently. The 2 main things, shoot. Okay, real quick, I'll just do this. Okay, ready, set. That here, I'm going to unshare. I'm going to undo this, and I'll just make this bigger. Okay, can you guys see that? Those are the things that I want to make sure everyone gets done. So buy Cutco samples. Yeah, screenshot. Buy Cutco samples. Clean out your car and your sample kit and your life a little bit. Declutter, right? Communicate those dates. Mom, dad, friends, family, right? If your friends are going to shoot the thing, what is it? Mill Creek? Shoot the tube. If you're going to Lagoon or whatever you're going to do that before the push, right? Go camping, do the other things, and get ready for this push period and set up those 17 days and get those 200 names to 300 names by next Wednesday. And you should PC with your manager and set up withholdings. Okay. Check those things off. And at the end of the month from now, you'll be like, holy crap. I got thousands saved. I just got my biggest paychecks of my life. 5 of them, 4 of them, whatever. 5th one's coming, right? When the conference is over, and bam, we had really transformative month of July 2023. By the way, last thing I'll say is August is going to be really fun, and the school year is going to be really fun when you've pushed through the next 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you all. Sorry to make it so tight on time.